Joe Yurick.
Welcome in, man. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for making the long-ass trip to come down here. I know we had planned this out a long time ago. Like, it was like months ago. And I appreciate you coming all the way down here to come do this.
I'm sitting across from a living legend. So
I don't know.
It's my pleasure.
I don't know about that. But, you know, I appreciate you coming down here to come do this and taking time out of your busy schedule and traveling all this way. I know it was probably a long drive, but I've been looking forward to this for a little while. I think that this is a piece of my life I don't really talk about very often. And, you know, there's probably a lot of other folks that probably don't talk about it all that often as well. So it'll be kind of interesting to get your perspective on your experiences and a lot of the things that you've seen and also what you've got going on and kind of like what you've been building upon and doing, because I think there's some value in it. It's not for everybody, right? It's for those that want it or people that decide they want to live life that way.
Right.
But we'll get into that shortly and then kind of explain it to people so they have a better understanding for context and everything. But before we get started, I want to kind of read off this bio that we got put together that you were kind enough to send me prior to, so that way people can get to know a little bit about your background. So we'll start with that. All right. His name is Joe Yurick. Your mission is to normalize sobriety with veterans who are using and abusing substances in a harmful, self-medicating way. You were raised in a small town in Pennsylvania that only had one red light to this day. You joined the Army in 2000. Oh, 2000, a while ago, man. Halfway through your senior year in the delayed entry program. You completed boot camp at Fort Sill in Lawton, Oklahoma. Then you went to Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas for your AIT, or Advanced Individual Training. Graduating as the honor grad. You stayed at Fort Bliss for your first duty station, and there you trained as a launcher dog with the PATRIOT Missile System. Okay. So shout out to habitual line crosser. I believe he was also, I believe Ethan was also a missile guy. He'll probably think that's really cool when he sees this.
ADA.
Yeah, he's an ADA guy. Actually, my other buddy, Josh Green, who's a chief warrant officer, you've probably seen One Punch Dad. You ever seen him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an ADA guy too.
No way.
I think originally by trade, I believe.
Nice.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh. I'm sorry if I'm messing up, but I'm pretty sure you are, based on what we talked about. Then the day we all remember, 9/11/01 happened. You soon had orders to deploy overseas in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. You deployed to the northern tip of Qatar and emplaced your launchers to protect Central Command in Doha, Qatar, which was actually where one of our bases was struck by Iran during like the 12-day war in 2025. They actually like launched some ICBMs at our base, at that base, which were shot down by ADA guys, interestingly enough, because that's like apparently the largest base we have in CENTCOM. So interesting that you guys ended up going there. As 3rd Infantry Division breached Baghdad, the air threat was diminishing. We then loaded all our equipment on a boat and went up to the Gulf and emplaced in Kuwait. Once Baghdad was secure, the air threat was eliminated. You loaded your equipment and sent back to the States and stayed in country to pull multiple details. Due to the needs of the government, you were stop-lossed. After fulfilling your full term, you were honorably discharged in 2004. Now your relationship with alcohol is the next part. All right, you started drinking early in high school. Keggers in Cornfields, Maryland, 2020, or Mad Dog 2020?
Mad Dog 2020.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
shots, you name it. Then when you got to your duty station in Fort Bliss, you were miles from Juarez, where the drinking age is 18. So to keep soldiers stateside, they made the drinking age on post 18. So there I was, 18, allowed to drink with no parental supervision.
That was awesome.
Oh, man. You drank so much that all of you guys drank so much that you dubbed yourselves Alcoholics Defending America.
Play on the ADA. Yeah.
instead of ADA. That's funny. When you got out, your drinking continued. If you were happy, you would drink. If you were sad, you would drink. This cycle continued and your tolerance got higher and higher. Your issue was once you started drinking, you didn't want to stop. This resulted in a sit down with my wife to get this under control. You guys agreed that you would limit yourself to 3 beers. you would drink the 9% double IPA. And so since you're going to drink 3 beers, cool. I'm going to drink 3 of the hardest beers that I can do. Yeah.
If you don't limit me.
Yeah. But that wasn't enough for my addiction. I would hide beers and liquor and sneak away to drink, all while only drinking 3 in front of my wife. This extended to during the week and really started to get out of control. This finally came to a halt when my wife finally had enough. In June of 2022, she gave me a choice: my family or my addiction. Nothing in this world means more to me than my family, so I said I would stop drinking for 6 months and reassess. That was by far the hardest thing you've ever had to do. You did seek counsel with therapists, attended a few AA meetings, but generally dealt with it on your own. Your wife was your support system through all this, and you relied heavily on your faith. After 6 months, you looked at everything in your life, and the only things you missed from drinking were selfish. You missed the buzz, the social interaction, how it made you feel. Aside from that, literally everything was better. Your health, you lost 60 pounds, your sleep, your relationships, your memory, your money, literally everything. So I made the decision to never drink again. With so much positivity and progress, you now want this for others that were in your situation, hence why the Sober Vet came into being.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, it's interesting that you didn't have to suffer severe consequences. You had some consequences that you were facing, and then you were faced with a decision, but you didn't have to, you didn't go to jail or prison or be charged with any major crimes or anything, or have to get a DUI to learn these hard lessons, which oftentimes is the case with a lot of people. Sounds like you didn't go to treatment or anything like that.
I didn't, no.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
I was
Fortunate.
very lucky.
You were just able to kind of white knuckle your way through it.
Which is very dangerous. Now that I'm informed, there's something called delirium tremens. And that is when you're drinking at my level. If you just quit cold turkey, you could potentially die, which is obviously very serious.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time, but now that I've been doing this Sober Vet and talking to other people, I found out about that. So
yeah.
If you do want to quit and you're drinking heavily now, please do it under medical supervision and don't just chance it like I did, because delirium tremens literally can kill you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the individual, depends on how much they've been drinking, how heavily, how frequently, and all that stuff. So if you're a heavy drinker, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be able to acknowledge that, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
I think consulting a physician, if you're doing it, not wanting to involve your bosses or your chain of command or whatever your job is at the time, my story with all that stuff, I'll keep for another day, but I will say that I quit, drinking, quit doing any type of mind-altering substances aside from nicotine and caffeine in 2007.
Nice.
So, and since then, I haven't had a single drink or done any mind-altering substances of any kind.
That's outstanding, dude.
2007? No, 2008. Sorry, 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right after the election, actually, in 2008, interestingly enough. But, I just had enough.
What have you noticed since, especially being in the military? How has that changed things, being sober?
It's tough to say because I was never in the military when I was drinking.
Oh, okay.
I didn't join the military until 2014. I'd been sober for 6 years by the time I joined.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that it's tough for me to tell what would be different. I mean, I would imagine that my organizational skills probably were better, or probably are better now.
Mm-hmm.
My problem is now that my organizational skills are better and I have more bandwidth for stuff, I fill that bandwidth with other things until I get to a place where I'm just barely functional, obviously I was late here and stuff like that. I've got too much stuff that I'm trying to bite off. I'm biting off more than I can chew all the time, but I'm very overly productive in some capacities, probably just because it's I work too much. Because I want to be able to do a lot of things. And in order to gain any type of success, you have to pour every ounce of your being into stuff, especially with how saturated the internet is with think about how many people have podcasts, and how many options there are for people to listen to folks talk. And not only do you have to have the content that's getting put out there, but you have to have something that's valuable for people to want to actually like listen to or take the time out of their day to listen to, whether they're driving or they're sitting at their house eating dinner or they're like relaxing with friends or something like that. Like if I'm making podcasts that aren't really valuable to people, or I'm not like talking to other folks that folks might find interesting, probably gonna be hard pressed to grow, it's a very competitive environment just doing the social stuff in general, especially podcasting, just because everybody's got one, like I said. But I would say if we go all the way back to when I like got rid of everything, like the biggest thing that it's helped me with is like being capable of taking accurate self-appraisals,
Okay.
Taking personal inventories, being honest with yourself, I think has been much easier after dropping all that stuff, because, when you wake up every morning and you're, clear-headed, sober throughout the whole day and like the years pass, it gets harder for you to lie to yourself. And it gets harder for you to, BS yourself. Whereas like if you're out there slinging beers every day or whatever it is that you're doing, like it's probably a little bit easier for you to lie to yourself about stuff.
Absolutely.
And folks that do drink, that have a problem, that see other people that had a problem and stopped drinking, they feel very uncomfortable with those people sometimes. So I typically don't even tell anybody. Haven't ever told anybody. I mean, I've told a lot of people. I mean, I don't really talk about it that much. It's just a part of my life now. It's a very broad spectrum of folks dealing with this stuff, and it's a very human issue. I wouldn't even say it's like a military thing, although military drinking and military is very, very popular.
It's our culture.
It's part of the culture, in a lot of ways. Because like, you're hanging out with your boys, you're going out in town, you're you're partying on the weekends, you have warrior nights where there's beers at the warrior nights, like, you have mess nights or dine-ins, like some of you guys call it. A lot of our balls have booze involved. And so it's like kind of a tradition. I mean, the Marine Corps is born in a bar, what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of like part of the culture, part of the traditions.
Right.
I've gotten by fine without drinking the entire time I've been in, no matter what, which wasn't like, really a challenge for me, because it's like, I look at it the same way I look at like rat poison for me now, because it's just not something that has done anything positive for me in my life. Didn't do anything positive for me at all. So I'm sure some people might feel differently about it, and that's fine. Everybody's got their own flavor, but I can definitively say, and it's not for everybody, you got to walk your own path. You know what I mean? I can definitively say that while I still have an enormous amount of stress because of like a lot of other things going on in my life, that I would say the quality of my life today, as opposed to it was in like 2008, is night and day. It's unrecognizable. Not night and day difference in regards to like, level of peace. And even today, sometimes I forget that, because I get all caught up with like a million things that I have going on. And I forget that I'm in a good spot. Like, I'm not in a bad spot. There could be things that are improved, right? But relatively speaking, like, if I needed to, get work done on my car because it was an emergency, I could afford to do that. If I had to go to the hospital, I had to pay out of pocket for an emergency, I could afford to do that. I can buy groceries. I can pay for gas. I can pay for my bills. I'm not overdrafting on anything. I'm not delinquent on any debt. I can remember for the most part what I did, yesterday and what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. There's a lot of problems that were caused or that happened that I dealt with a lot prior to 2008 that I don't have to deal with now. not to say that I don't have problems. I have plenty of issues and problems and friction and challenges. They're just different.
And it's interesting you say that because like I literally was the opposite of everything you just listed. And I don't know if it's because I went in at 18. I drank prior, but once I got in there and I knew I could drink there, our barracks parties were crazy, like literally nuts. And I loved every minute of it. And I would go negative in my bank accounts. In between pay periods, we'd be so broke. We even would go down to Juarez. We called it J-Town, even though technically we weren't allowed to. There was a bar called Tequila Derby, and it was amazing. It was $10 drink and drown. So for a poor private, I mean, that's a haven.
Drink and drown, what does that mean?
So when you pay to get in, you drink all night off that $10. It's drink and drown. You don't have to pay for each drink. You just go back up to the bar. It was all well stuff.
That's
it was all
dangerous.
Crap. They would have pony bottles of Corona. You could get these mixed drinks in a styrofoam cup, but we went so often that we would have glass cups. So then the ladies like, ooh, who are these guys with their special cups? And like, so we could pull all sorts of girls. Like we just, every weekend was an adventure. But then on the way back, that's when you have trouble because 2 a.m. everyone's walking back stateside and we stick out like a sore thumb. We all had the high and tights with a tan line right here.
Yeah.
And you could tell we were soldiers. So the local federales would like, they would always be walking the opposite direction. As we're all walking back towards the Rio Grande, they'd be walking this way. And they would just grab one of you and keep walking. And you're like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? And they're like, dinero, dinero. And you're like, crap. And the end of the night, we have nothing. So we're like, man, I got nothing. I remember the one weekend I was wearing my roommate's Movado. And the cop was like, oh, it's a nice watch. And I'm like, no, Movado. And he was like, I was like, I took it off, gave it to him. They let our friend go. And it's not like I could run back and be like, hey, Sarge, this guy did this. Because we're not supposed to be there anyway.
Yeah.
So like we knew the risks.
How much was that watch?
Probably $1,200.
$1,200.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
dude, he was
no.
pissed. But like, what do you do?
Was it your buddy's watch?
Yeah, and he was with me. So he like watched me hand it to the
he-
cop. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And
Why
it
were you
killed
wearing
him.
it?
Because he let me, because I couldn't afford one. So I had to wear
Oh,
his.
man. He must have been so
Dude, he was
butthurt.
heated. Yeah, very upset.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God, dude.
And the fights and like, dude. But again, it was like, it was a badge of honor to go through that stuff when I was in there. Dude, we would have barracks parties where we would play Edward 40 hands. You ever do that?
Yeah.
You tape the 40s.
You tape your 40s and you can't untape them until the
they're
40s are
done.
empty.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
a 40 is like 3 beers.
It is.
Right.
And it's higher content. We would drink something called
Malt liquor usually.
Yeah,
Like,
King Cobras.
Yeah,
and,
King
their
Cobras.
slogan was "Don't let the smooth taste fool you." But they were only $1.25 at the
They're
Class 6, and
dirt cheap.
they had the wide mouth. But like
Yeah.
they stopped making the wide mouth. I think too many people died. But when we were in, they had the wide mouth.
Crazy.
Dude, it was crazy. We had a good time.
Well, they had like the old English 40s, and then Colt 45, obviously that famous 40,
Yeah.
2 zigzags, all that. What else did they have? There was another one.
Steel Reserve.
Yeah, Steel Reserve was another
That's
really
harsh.
popular one.
Yeah,
It's
that's
harsh, yeah. It was all like that, dirt poor,
Yeah.
stuff. But
On
I mean,
a private salary, you only have $5. You could buy a couple 40s.
yeah, that's true. And then you have a good time or have a good night or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's what's funny is like my experience as a young junior enlisted dude was very different probably from a lot of people, just because like I was already 27 years old when I got in.
Right.
So like my partying days were like 7 years behind me by that point.
Gotcha.
I was over it. I was already like, I quit drinking when I turned 21, which is kind of funny, 6 years prior to joining. So like, just really wild to think about. It's like time has flown by.
Yeah.
I'm almost 40.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
turned
really
44 yesterday.
Did you?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
I'm feeling good, looking good.
Feeling good, looking good.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all that's all that matters, man.
That's it. Yeah.
It was weird. Like because I didn't drink, like, but all my friends drank, like I would still go out with them to the clubs. Cause like at the time I was single. I'm not single anymore, but at the time I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still interested in picking up chicks just like everybody else is, you know what I mean? When you're single and, even if you're not drinking. And so I would go out with my buddies to the bars and we try to like pick up chicks. We try to like, make friends out there, local friends, and go out and get dinner, like spend time with your friends out downtown. But I always ended up playing the role of like dad and like taking care of people is what ended up happening for the most part, because I was the only person not drinking and I drove. So I could drive us back. Yeah. So I pretty much DD'd like every weekend when I was going out with guys.
Gotcha.
You know, which I had no problem with that because like a lot of my friends, I've picked up a lot of my friends while they were completely blacked out on benches in the middle of like Waikiki, and they didn't know how they got there. And like, fortunately, their one friend that was sober enough to remember what was going on could call me to be like, dude, can you please come get us? Like, an Uber is not going to take us back to base with Miles blacked out or whoever it was that's blacked out at the time or whatever. And a lot of them probably don't even remember a lot of these things. One time I actually, funny enough, one time we picked up, I had 5 people in my car, 1 in the front seat, 3 in the back. And we had one guy that was like riding on someone's lap in the back, which is illegal. You can't do that. Obviously, like I haven't done that since then, but like, you know, we were trying to go through the front gate. Can't go through the front gate like that.
Right.
I stopped the car just before the front gate, like around a bend, hoping they wouldn't see me. And I had my buddy jump in the trunk.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Just so that way we only had 3 people in the back and they all had a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
We drove up to the gate and he said,
Pop the trunk.
he said, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have somebody in your trunk? And I said, yes, sir, I do. I told him the truth.
Good.
And he's like, okay, can you pop the trunk and tell him to get out? I said, yes, I can. And I popped it. Obviously he'd been drinking, so he shouldn't have been driving. And I was trying to pick all my friends up. And he's like, I need you to walk to the barracks. You can't ride with them back to the barracks. And so they let him walk on base. He showed them their ID. And then everybody else showed their ID, and then we all got on base. He said, because you told me the truth, I'm not going to give you a ticket. Nice. But if I see you do that again, I'm going to have to give you a ticket. I was like,
thank you.
I appreciate you, and it won't happen again. And I never did it again after that. But that was how far I was willing to go to like help my friends like get home safely and stuff, because like, you know, there's a lot of weird stuff that happens. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that have bad things happen to them. And that's part of like the deal is you take care of your team, you know,
Absolutely.
Take care of your teammates. And obviously I don't do any of that anymore. I don't go out at all anymore. I have no interest in going to clubs. I'm good. I'm married now. So it's like, I don't have any, there's literally no reason. I don't drink. I'm not looking for girls. Like unless we're going out to celebrate a special event or something like that, which would be one thing. That's fine. But I probably still wouldn't go out to a bar unless like my wife was with me probably, just because that'd be weird in my mind. But anyway, that's enough about my story. Really, I want to kind of ask you, I want to start off a little bit back kind of towards the beginning. Where did you said you grew up in a town with one flashing red light in it, right?
Well, it's a regular red light, but yeah, it's called Cochranville, Pennsylvania. Very small town. Yeah, one red light to this day. It's just...
To this day.
I don't even know if it's on most maps. It's that small.
Really? What's a town that it's nearby that people would recognize?
The closest known town would probably be Westchester, Pennsylvania, and that's about 10 miles east of Cochranville.
10 miles east?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Westchester? Remember
I've
Jackass?
Yeah.
That's where they started in Westchester.
Oh, they started in Pennsylvania?
They did. Yeah, it's about a half hour west of Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So Philly, yeah, everybody knows Philly.
Yeah.
You know, of course, but I don't know if I don't think I could live in Philly anymore. It's a little too crazy now. I mean, it's changed a lot, obviously, in the past like 10, 20 years. Very different town now than it used to be, I think probably back in like the 90s, early 2000s, you know. But so you grew up in this small town, and what was the name of the town? Cochranville. And how long did you live in Cochranville for?
So I lived there from the age of 9. When my parents got divorced, we moved in with my dad. So I lived there from age of 9 till graduating my senior year. And funny quick story about Cochranville, I actually got smoked for my address when I first got to my duty station. So I lived on Manor Road in Cochranville, PA. So one morning we're out in the quad smoking cigarettes. My platoon sergeant Mason comes out, very small animated guy. He comes out, he's like, "Where's Yurick?" I was like, "Hold on, Sergeant." He's like, "Beat your face." I was like, "What the hell?" And I saw he had my leave form in his hand. And he knew I was a knucklehead. So he was like, "You don't want to go home, do you?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, you're looking at my leave form." He's like, "What is this? Manor Road, Cochranville." I was like, "Sorry." I was like, "That's my address." He's
Manor?
like,
Manor
yeah,
Road?
Manor Road in Pennsylvania. Right.
That's funny. That's funny. I mean, you weren't messing around. It's
Not
actually
at
the
all.
name.
Yeah.
Is it like PH?
No, it's FAGGS.
That's who came up with that?
I have no idea. But at the end of my street, there's a Manor Church.
Is there really?
But they had to change it. Now it's just called Manor Church.
Of course they did.
The woke movement.
What kind of a church is it?
It's a Methodist.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like an Episcopal church or something like that. Yeah.
Nah.
They probably would have kept it the same if it was an Episcopal church.
But it was a typical small town and there was nothing to do. So we would go out in the cornfields. Someone would get a keg. We would charge like a couple dollars a cup. We would party in cornfields. We would go mailbox smashing.
Oh, God.
You can't cow tip. For anyone that says they've gone cow tipping, it's not. Cows are way too heavy. I've attempted it, but it was that kind of small town where there's not much to do. One night we got pretty drunk and my buddy lived on a farm. And when the doctors check, I guess when cows are pregnant, they have these like long sleeves, these plastic gloves that cover your whole arm for the cam to grow up.
Yeah.
And we filled these gloves with like liquid manure from the cows, and his property backed up to Route 41, which was like the only highway in the town. And it was kind of down this hill. So we would wait for tractor trailers to go by and we would poke holes in these and fling them. So on the trailer, and like just leave this huge stain on the side of the trailer. Well, one time I think I released too early because next thing you hear is the air brakes. I must have hit the windshield. So we like took off running and like that was our idea of a good time in Cockerville. We had to entertain ourselves. There was literally nothing to do.
Well, this is what kids do, you know, when they get bored.
We were
I mean, it's better than kids running around shooting each other, which is what a lot of them do these days, you know, but that's, it's kind of like, it's funny, but it's not funny, but it is kind of because it's like so ridiculous where we're at. Yeah. Life is really weird these days, but yeah, I mean, I imagine growing up in a small town, you know, you find ways to entertain yourselves. This is pre-internet, not pre-internet, but pre-cell phones for sure, you know, so.
Pre-social media, pre-all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Back when we were probably healthier as a species, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a lot of ways. I mean, you know, obviously we're here trying to adapt to how life is now, but it is, there's a lot of aspects of, you know, being disconnected from the internet that are actually good for your brain. Yes. You know, I've come to find like I try to spend less time on my phone these days than I used to.
That's gotta be tough for you because you're on it. As soon as something happens, boom, you pop up.
Yeah.
This just happened 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, I have certain notifications for certain things, and then I also like will sometimes like look for some stuff, but for the most part, I try not to scroll. I try not to catch myself scrolling. I try not to do that because like you can get sucked and lose like whole hours of your day, and I've got too much work to do to be doing that, unfortunately.
Not productive at all.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you know, we did a lot of stuff that was like, you know, makeshift fun when I was a kid too. Like, you know, when we were we'd play outside, you know, catch fireflies, put them in a jar, poke a bunch of holes in the jar. Yeah, you know.
Where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
I grew up in Maine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, out in the country up in Maine.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was I was up there from like 86 until 98.
Okay. My aunt and uncle live in Raymond, Maine. We used to go up there and there's a lot of lakes. We would rent cabins on a lake for like a week and just vacation up there. Always during the summer. I've never been in the winter.
Yeah. Winter is very different. It gets very cold up there in the winter. Mm-hmm. We used to live close to a lake actually called Echo Lake. I don't know if you ever heard of Bar Harbor?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right near Bar Harbor.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's like there's a town called Ellsworth. Between Ellsworth and Bar Harbor is this, you know, it's like a 2-lane road that like connects the two. And there's a lake called Echo Lake. My parents are since split, but at the time my dad used to swim the full length of that lake and then swim all the way back.
Really?
Yeah, when he was because he was swimming a lot. I mean, he swam most of his life, mainly because that was like his number one way to get exercise, and number two because it helped his back because he had like a couple herniated discs, and so that like helped kind of release some of that pressure.
It's a great low impact workout.
Yeah.
For the body.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of why he did it, but he lost his wedding ring in that lake at some point, and that thing it's gone.
Yeah.
It's in the lake somewhere.
Right.
And he ended up
Forever.
getting another one made at some point. But I mean, obviously that's, done then. He's not married anymore. But, that was, I remember that because like, it was a little bit too loose and just slipped right off,
Was your mom pissed?
I don't think so. I think she was like, it kind of is what it is. Like, I mean, maybe they had a private conversation I wasn't like present for. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, we did a lot of stuff outside when we lived there too, though. We played out in the woods a lot. I mean, when we lived out in one of our addresses out there, we had a decent amount of property, decent amount of land that my dad built a house on, and we built a tree house
Nice.
out
That's
there,
cool.
which was kind of cool. Yeah. And it had like a roof on it. So that way it was like covered, but it was like open, like all the way around, like no windows or anything, just like a kind of a roof that covered the thing up, and then like walls on the inside. So you could you were kind of protected from anything like just like, flying directly into it necessarily. And then like a small ladder that was built into the tree that you climbed up and stuff like that, like a little door hatch. And we went out there. I remember as a kid staying out there in sleeping bags at some point. I can't remember if it was it was in elementary school. So I remember doing it in elementary school, staying out there in sleep bags, just to do it. It was kind of like camping out.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice.
But it was within walking distance from the house. So it wasn't anything crazy. You walk to that. It was probably like a couple 100 meters.
Okay.
It maybe 100 meters. It might not have been, but it might not have even been that far. That was kind of a cool childhood memory of mine. And then we played video games too. Played a lot of video games. Played Super Nintendo a lot when we were kids. And then we eventually got an N64.
Snap.
While we were still in Maine, and we were playing Super Mario 64 on Christmas Day. I remember that.
That was mind blowing at the time.
Yeah, it was mind blowing. It was
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a game changer. I was like, holy crap, this is the coolest thing ever. Man. And it was like a 3D thing moving around. I was like, wow.
No more just side scrolling.
Yeah, no more just like a side scrolling thing or 2D. Yeah, it was very different. Very cool though. Very cool.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so you guys found ways to entertain yourselves. You drank in the cornfields. Did you go all the way through high school there?
I did.
Did you? What year did you graduate?
2000.
2000? Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you enlist right after you graduated pretty much at 18?
Funny story about how I enlisted. Real quick, just to give you an idea, in my school, you either needed to be a jock, good at sports, or rich to be popular.
Okay.
We were kind of lower middle class, so I worked every day after school. I couldn't play sports, and we did not have money. So my outlet was comedy. I viewed every classroom as an audience. I would just say the most outlandish things, do the most outlandish things. So by the time senior year came around, I had my own desk in the in-school suspension room. I was on academic probation for my senior prom. Didn't get to go to that. I had to sign a document before I walked the stage to get my diploma, promising I would not do anything wild or else I would not get my diploma to graduate. So that kind of puts you in your mind frame of where I was in high school. I got, for the senior gag awards, I got class clown, most energetic, best sense of humor. Me and my best friend got best friends because we were the life of every party. And halfway through our senior year, my best friend came up to me and was like, dude, what are we doing when we graduate? And I was like, I literally was just living for today. I didn't care what happened afterwards. We'll figure that out later. It was I've been talking to Army recruiters, says we could join in something called the Buddy Program, where we join now. We could go to boot camp on our first duty station together. So I was like, all right, bro, I got your back. Let's do it. So we joined in December of our senior year in the delayed entry program. Both signed up. We're 14 Tangos, Patriot Missile System in the Air Defense Artillery. And then we didn't leave till August 18th after we graduated. So 2 weeks before we go to leave, I get a phone call from said friend. Hey, bro, I'm not going.
He bailed.
I was like, excuse me? I was like, this was your idea. What do you mean you're not going? He said his grandmother was sick. He had some excuse, but yeah, he bailed on me. It was literally his idea and he backed out. So I was like, okay, guess I'm going solo. Because I'm a man of my word. I couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up joining by myself. It wasn't my idea or path at all. But here I am.
I bet his recruiter was pissed.
Oh yeah, he was
livid. He's like, oh, there's my quota for the month. I'm good.
Yep.
Guess what? No, you're not. Now you got to go find some. He probably put in a lot of work getting that kid already, taking his ASVAB, getting his MEP schedule. Yeah. Man, dude, that's harsh.
It was harsh, but it was my first life lesson, and not that I wish anything bad on him. It's not that I don't want him to eat. I just don't want him to eat at my table. I just don't respect someone like that. So we kind of parted ways, and if I see him, which I have to this day, hey, what's up, dude? How you doing? I don't have a problem with him. He's not in my circle anymore.
Yeah.
It hurt. That was a tough dose of reality at that young age, going into something that wasn't even my idea.
Yeah. That's like, it's not necessarily a betrayal, but it's definitely a damage on your trust.
Yeah.
And trust is honestly for me, I place trust higher than everything. And then right below trust is dependability for me.
Right. And it's wild because, again, we got the best friend gag award because everyone knew if you saw him, you saw me. We were everywhere together. We did everything.
You're best friends.
People wanted to know what we were doing so they could do it. We were those best friends.
Yeah.
So for that to happen, dude, it was tough.
Yeah.
But I took the positive. After boot camp, when I was in AIT, I was like, you know what I'm going to do for the first time in my life? I'm actually going to apply myself. Because in high school, I never applied myself. I always did enough to get by. I had girls do my homework for me. I spent more time trying to get out of work than it would have taken if I actually just did the work. So in AIT, I was like, and my dad was always on me. He's like, you're so smart. Just apply yourself. You have the brains. So finally in AIT, my goal was to try as hard as I can to just be average, to show my dad Dad, I tried as hard as I can. I barely made it. Well, as you read in my bio, I ended up graduating as the honor grad. So I was like, holy shit, maybe I'm smart. This is pretty wild. It was kind of like an epiphany. It was crazy.
Do you feel like you were, when you recall graduating as the honor grad, do you feel like there's other people that were more deserving of it or something? Do you not feel like you deserved it?
So, no, I definitely deserved it because I studied my ass off. I really took it serious. But a buddy of mine who I was really close friends with, they ended up having 2 honor grads because even though I graduated with a 95 point something, he graduated with a 93 point something, but he was a PT stud. He had a 300 on his PT test. So we had dual honor grads for our class. So normally it would have just been me, but I was average on PT. And because he was a PT stud, we had 2 honor grads. So he totally deserved it, but I was still mad because I'm percentage wise, I'm better. But yeah, he had me on the PT score.
And this is AIT, not boot camp.
Not boot camp, no.
Yeah, because AIT is a little bit different. I mean, did you have any of your drill instructors at your AIT?
It was all drill instructors.
So is all the people that you had as your drill instructors were also your AIT trainers?
Well, I went to boot camp at Fort Sill. So I went to AIT at Fort Bliss. So it was all different people. But at AIT, they were all drill sergeants. So.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, because I know the Army, I only know this because my friends in the Army, they kind of have explained it a little bit. For the Marine Corps, it's very different. If you're a drill instructor, you stay doing drill instructor stuff. You're not teaching your MOS, gotcha. Which I do see why there would be some benefit to being a drill sergeant and then maybe not calling it drill sergeant, but just being a drill sergeant and then taking all those people that you just trained in basic training over to their job school and then teaching them their job school stuff, because then it's you have to retain your MOS credibility.
Right.
And teaching classes about your MOS helps you retain that information. So it probably helps them when they're rotating back to regular conventional forces again, because then when they go back, it's not like they had stopped talking about their MOS for 4 years.
Right.
Whereas drill instructors in the Marine Corps, when they go to become a drill instructor, you are just doing drill instructor stuff. You are not doing your MOS. In fact, you're stepping away from your MOS for 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
So when you get back to the fleet,
yeah,
you haven't done it in 3-4 years. It might be totally different. You might have corporals or PFCs that know more about the job than you do, which is, that's a tough transition to make.
And what's cool was with our AIT class, we were the only all male class, because this is when you had females in as well. So we were the only male class. So they really had us do a lot of things that you couldn't get away with if females were there. But it was a blast, dude. We had so much fun. I remember when we were doing driver training to drive the the truck, the HEMTT, heavy expanded mobility tactical truck, the 8-wheel vehicle where all 4 front wheels turn, because that's what pulled the Patriot missile. So we were doing driver's training in New Mexico, or no, I think this was on post. And it had like rained the day before, so it was super muddy. So after training, they had us go into these mud pits and do like front back goes and like flutter kicks. And by the time we got back to the barracks, head to toe, we were caked in mud. The people at the barracks were like, what the hell? Like, take all your shit off out. You're not bringing that in here. But it was a blast because they could do that to us because we were all male. But
yeah,
they definitely beat on us, but it was fun. And it brought us closer together. Like my AIT crew, I still stay in touch with them, some of them through like social media and stuff, which is pretty cool.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And you guys went to AIT in 2000?
That was in 2000, yeah.
Okay.
The later part of 2000, yeah.
Yeah, see, that was probably a very different time as well, just prior to the global war on terror.
Correct.
You know, like just after Desert Storm, like I would imagine that people probably got away with a little bit more back then as far as like
100%.
aggressive behavior, aggressive tactics.
Hazing. And I even remember getting promoted. Like you get promoted in front of the battery, and then when you come up to the barracks, you get promoted with the E4 and below, where the standard uniform is a wife beater. You put your rank on, everyone walks by, does that, boom, boom. So by the end, you're bleeding, but then you drink some beers, and that was just, it didn't even seem bad at the time. It was like a rites of passage. Yeah. Because everyone did it. At some point, it's going to happen to you when you rank up, you know, like that could never float nowadays. You know?
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, and granted, like that's a whole nother can of worms.
True.
You know, that's a whole nother can of worms. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of things culturally that's just a lot different about the military now than it was before. There are some traditions and customs that I think are good, and some that are probably good that they went away. I mean, I understand why some of these things went away, because there's always somebody that takes it too far, and then it's like it becomes a problem. But that's usually the reason why a lot of these things happen, is because somebody did something stupid. You know? If people weren't doing something stupid, it probably wouldn't have stopped. So that was the early 2000s, before the invasion of Iraq. When you got done with AIT, how long was it before you got to your actual first duty station?
Literally the next day, because I stayed at Fort Bliss.
Okay, so you were at your duty station. Correct. You were going through school.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, and you were active duty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were active duty.
Yeah, I lived there. Yep.
And then how were you guys doing, like workups, or how does that work with the air defense guys? Do you do a workup and then you deploy? Like, is it like a rotation? How's that work?
So there are rotations, Korea, Germany, but you're deployed out there. So we were just kind of in readiness stage. We would just make sure everything was ready and prepped. And I honestly was going in not thinking anything would happen. Like we would have motor pool Mondays where you're checking your equipment. We would have sergeant's time on Tuesday. Like we had a set schedule.
Motor pool Mondays. Yep.
Yeah. But we never really were prepping to deploy because nothing was happening. Like we weren't really rotating out at the time. So when 9/11 did happen, it was wild because we had just finished a battalion 5K and we're in the DFAC eating breakfast. And my roommate was like, dude, look, someone hit one of the towers in New York. I'm like, that's weird. And like, as we're eating, we saw the second tower would get hit. And then we're like, oh, like that was planned. So yeah, and then the Fort Bliss got on lock. I'm getting phone calls from my family members. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but we're on lockdown. That's all I know. Like it was a weird time because when you're in, people think because you're a soldier, you know what's going on. But you're like, that's the upper, you know, like we don't know what's happening.
That's up here, dude. Yeah. I'm way down here.
Exactly, dude. I'm like, I'm below E4. Like I wasn't even E4 yet. I think I was at E2 at the time because my military career went E1, E2, E3, E4, E2, E3, E4. I got an Article 15 for drunk on duty.
Did you really?
So I got knocked back.
For drunk on duty.
Yeah. And that's a funny story too. So we're at our duty station. I had a room by myself. I was at E4. And on Friday, First Sergeant's like, hey, we're getting an influx of soldiers. Any E4 below, bunk up or I'll give you a roommate. So I looked at my buddy. He looks at me like, you want to room up? And I was like, yeah, sure. So all weekend we spent combining our rooms. And my room was always the hangout. It was real pimped out. That's where everyone came to party, watch movies, whatever. So we kind of combined our rooms. It was really nice. So by like 1200 on Sunday, we're like, all right, man, this looks good. So my roommate's like, hey, I'm gonna run down class 6 because we got break in the new room. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Thinking he'll get like a 6-pack. Dude comes back with a bottle of 151 and a 2-liter of Coke. And I'm like, what are we doing? I was like, dude, we have PT in the morning. Like, what are you doing? He was like, listen, we got to break in this room. This is going to be an epic room. We got to start it epic. So We're going to make 151 in Coke. That'll be our chaser. Every 15 minutes, we're going to do a shot till this bottle's gone.
Is it like Bacardi 151?
Yeah, dude.
Which is like Everclear almost.
It's disgusting. It's like rubbing alcohol. It's foul. Like,
It
should not be consumed straight.
It's like extremely potent liquor.
Horrible.
Yeah,
we could have died that evening. So next thing you know, the barracks get involved. They're like watching us do it. No one's partaking because they're not as dumb as us. So they're watching us do this. Next thing you know, I remember is I wake up, I'm in my bunk, and I'm hearing them pounding on the door. We had the barracks room and then the Jack and Jill bathroom connecting them.
Oh.
We weren't answering our door. So our maintenance platoon sergeant went through our roommate's door, sees my roommate passed out on the toilet. He's like, get up, get your ass down to formation. He comes in, sees me next to a pile of throw up. He's like, go down in your civilians. I don't even want you to change your PTs. We're like, oh, so we go down to first formation. After everyone leaves for the run, we had to fall back. He took us to William Beaumont, which is the hospital on post. They did our BACs, and we were high for the next day. It was like a 0.10 or it was high for the next day. So yeah, we got drunk on duty. We had to do 90 days extra duty. I got knocked down 2 ranks.
2 ranks.
Yeah. So E4 to E2.
I didn't know they could do that.
Yeah. Or it might have been, my memory might be off. It might have been PFC to E2. So E3 to E2. It might have been that.
Okay.
But here's where this is when I knew I was an alcoholic, because extra duty is every day after final formation, we had to go do site beautification somewhere for an extra 2 hours as our punishment. And on the weekends, on Saturday, we would have to go to off-post housing and do site beautifications at their parks or common areas. So on the weekends, we would stop at the class 6, get something to eat, grab some Gatorades, and head out because we'd be out there for 6-8 hours. Well, when our OIC or whoever was with us watching us would go out to the car, I would buy those little pony bottles of liquor that they had right next to the cash register, put them in my cargo pocket.
It's about airplane bottles, right? Yeah.
Yep. So then when we would get on site, I'd grab a weed whacker and I'd go, hey, Sarge, I'm going to start down there and work my way back. He was like, oh. So I would go down there, pound my shit, hide it, and then just weed whack. And so here I am being drunk on duty while in trouble for drunk on duty. That's when I knew I had a problem. That's not good.
Wow.
And I never got caught, luckily.
Yeah, you're lucky, because if you were drunk on duty while you were doing duty for being drunk on duty,
I'd be gone. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been it could have been rough. I know Navy, so the Navy just got rid of it recently, but it used to be that if you got in trouble on a naval vessel, whether you were a Marine or a sailor, you could get put on bread and water.
Really?
Yeah, in confinement.
Wow.
Yeah, legit. Even up till I think they got rid of it in 2022. So it was very recently.
Damn.
They used the captain of the ship, the Navy captain of that ship, could literally have you confined and put on bread and water.
Wow.
Like what they did with sailors back during the Revolutionary War and stuff.
Seriously.
Yeah, pretty weird. An archaic tradition that they kind of did away with. I don't know if it had a psychological effect. It probably did, I would imagine. I've obviously never been on bread and water. I don't know anybody who has either. I mean, you probably had to have been a real turd to get put on that. But so you eventually figured out, and how many years in were you in at that point when you got caught drunk on duty?
It was early on. I'd say a year, maybe less. It was it was before 9/11.
Oh, okay. So that was before 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, then fast forward, 9/11 happens. I know everybody talks about, we deployed shortly after that. How long was it before you deployed after 9/11?
I believe we left in February of 2003. By the time the orders were done, we railroaded everything. Yeah, because again, we're air.
That was during the invasion.
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
But we're air defense artillery, so we were defending Central Command. So
in Doha,
northern Qatar, in a place called Ras Laffan. It was literally the northern tip of Qatar. If you look at Qatar, it was all the way up north.
Okay.
And,
is that how you pronounce it? Not Qatar?
Well, I mean, tomato is tomato. Anyone in country, we all pronounce it Qatar.
Everybody just called it Qatar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not I'm not a map person, so I've always just called it Qatar. I mean, I've also heard people call it Qatar before too. So I didn't know if there's a reason or a custom, or if I was just mispronouncing it. But so anyway, you guys got there, and you said February
February of 03.
Of 03. And then you got what set up there up in the top?
So it was interesting because our sister battalion, we were Echo 343 in the 11th Brigade Air Defense Artillery. Our sister battalion
343.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Our sister battalion was Bravo 552. And if you remember when their convoy got hit and they took POWs, and Jessica Lynch was one of those POWs. That happened literally as we were flying in the country. So when we're at Doha waiting to get orders to go up north to Ras Al Khaimah, we're watching this on Al Jazeera TV. We're like, holy crap, because we partied with those people in the barracks. Like they're literally 2 buildings down from our barracks. So like we knew them, and rest in peace. They lost about a dozen people in that ambush. But then the special forces came, got Jessica Lynch and the survivors, got them out safe and everything.
I'd love to interview her at some point.
Yeah,
what a story she's probably got.
Story. Absolutely. But that was kind of scary because, like, not only are you a young soldier, at this point I was a specialist, I was in the E4 Mafia, but we're watching this and we're like, wow, we're in country. It is now real. Like, you're here, like that's a scary thing to be that young. Cause as you know, before you deploy, you have to get your will ready. You had to get all your shots and stuff like that. And like for a 19/20-year-old to be in that mentality, dude, that's like, it's heavy.
It's a weird experience.
Very bizarre.
Yeah.
So that convoy heading up to Ras Al Khaimah, luckily we didn't have any issues, but talk about being on a different level of awareness. Like, it's wild.
Yeah. We, it's funny is we had to do our last will and testaments as well before deploying. Even if you're going to PACOM, which I was like, we're not going to combat. Why do we need to do that? Well,
just in case.
You never know.
Right.
Yeah. They wanted everybody, that was part of a pre-deployment requirement. Mm-hmm. Everybody would do one.
Yep.
In some way. If you had a spouse, you needed to make them the primary beneficiary. Mm-hmm. Because, we could get activated from out there because we were basically on what's called ACM, which was like essentially means like you're on call.
Okay.
Like if there's any contingencies that pop off in the Pacific while your unit's forward deployed there, then you're on call to react. Yeah, because you're like the most furthest deployed unit in the Marine Corps at that point if you're out there. And so we had to get our last will and testaments all done before we went on deployment, even when we were going to Okinawa or Japan or Korea. So it's kind of an interesting experience. I hadn't expected that when I first thought of going out to Okinawa or Japan. I was like, well, we're just training in a different location,
right?
And
didn't seem that serious.
Yeah, it didn't seem as serious, but it was. There's like reasons for that, and there's reasons why we were doing the training we were doing and all that stuff. It's just harder to see when you're a Lance Corporal going on Corporal. At least for my first DDP.
Now, when you went, the Army calls it green to gold, but when you went from NCO or enlisted to officer, did you go from corporal, or when did you make that transition? What rank?
No, so I was a staff sergeant.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, first, yeah. But, most of the guys that were in the program that I went through were like gunnies and staff sergeants anyway. Some of them were sergeants. But basically, you get to the program, almost always everybody gets to the program as a sergeant if they applied as a sergeant, because there's a lot of sergeants that apply. There are some staff sergeants that apply and some gunnies. But if you go into the program as a sergeant, you're guaranteed going to pick up staff before you leave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
because you get promoted non-competitively while you're in the program. So they non-competitively promote you to the next rank. So as soon as you're in zone, you're automatically getting picked to promote. And then what that does is you start getting paid at that new rank quicker, And so it's kind of a little extra money to help supplement your income while you're in school, really is what it ends up being. Because, obviously when you graduate the program, you're commissioning. Right. So the, enlisted promotion doesn't really matter all that much, because you're not actually doing the job of a staff sergeant if you got to that program as a sergeant, so and so on and so forth. But it's pretty much the same. Obviously, like there's some minutia differences, like the ROTC program that you have to be involved with is a little bit different when it comes from the Department of the Navy than when you're coming from the Department of the Army. You know, like there's just going to be different ways of doing the same thing. Right. Ultimately, you had to go to a school that had Navy ROTC. Yeah, it had to be one of those types of schools, and you had to take a certain number of classes. You had to maintain a certain GPA for the whole time you're there, and you know, there's some other like bureaucracy involved that you just learn to navigate, but pretty much the same. Like we talked to a lot of guys that were in the Green and Gold program there as well, because I mean, I went to UNC and they had Army ROTC there, they had Air Force, they had Navy, and then the Marine Corps folks were like tied in with the Navy. Okay. So it's like Army, Air Force, and then Navy, Marine Corps, like 3. So it was interesting. You know, it was kind of weird because I was like over 30 years old in college in classes with freshmen. Right. You know, they're all, and at the time I was single when I first went to college, you know, and there was a bunch of like 18-year-olds in my classrooms, which was really weird when I was like, I was like 32, 33. Yeah,
that's a big gap.
It's a big gap. Yeah, mentally, like it's just very different. So I ended up getting a job bouncing at a bar for a little while I was there, just to like make extra money on the weekends and to get to know some people that were in the area. I met a lot of people like that, which was kind of cool. Nice. And, you know, eventually ended up quitting that when I was getting close to graduating because I had too much going on. I was getting ready to move and all this stuff. But it was a good experience. It's a good experience. I would say it's a valuable program for anybody that wants to do it. You know, it's a life-changing, life-altering course.
I'm sure. Yeah.
You know, very different from anything I've ever experienced. But so, Qatar, did they sell alcohol there?
Anywhere I went, I saw near beer. I didn't run into any alcohol. Again, we were only at the Central Command for like a week before we went to Ras Laffan. And then when we were up there, we were like living in air assault tents. So like it wasn't a real nice base. It literally, from what I was told, it was an old landfill that they filled in. And then they set up the bunkers. They set up the sand berms for our launchers. And that was it. We went out, we put up our tents. We were sleeping on cots. Then someone sent in bunk beds. Then someone sent in a trailer that had latrines and a big tub for water. So during the day, the water would get hot. And then like early evening, you would take a shower real quick with that hot water, just using the gravity, you know. We would have one hot meal a day in the beginning. We would eat MREs for like breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty primitive to start.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of how, because was there a base already established there at that time?
Central Command, yeah, the Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Yeah. Al-Saleh? Was it called Al-Saleh, I believe? I forget the name of it. But yeah, that was pretty established. And it was wild too, because freaking Air Force, they had like an Olympic-sized pool. There was a Subway there. They had a Burger King. All the officers had the Connexes with the air conditioners. Like, it was pretty beefed up on
already.
Yeah. By the time we got there. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Well, that's crazy, first off, that there were already Connexes with air conditioners when you got there for the officers. When I got to Iraq in 2023, 20 years later, I had a Connex with an air conditioner. Wow. Kind of like a Connex. They called them Chews.
Chews, okay.
Yeah, Chews.
It was like a metal box.
Basically. It's like a metal box with air conditioners in it. Yep. Yeah, but I mean, I kind of expected that in 2023 because that's 20 years of buildup, you know. But 2003, I would never have envisioned them having that.
Just on the main pole. Not like I said, we were in tents.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. There's also a lot of tents on a lot of those places too. But
not the nice tents, like the nice tents that had the AC. We were just the old school air assault tents, the ones that smelled like mildew, like. The ones that we brought over.
Smelled like vomit.
Correct. Yeah. And piss.
Yeah. And piss. Yeah. I don't know why they always smelled like that when you open them up.
No idea.
There's like a normal smell for those.
I can smell it right now.
GP 500 tents or whatever they're called. Yeah. Did they sell alcohol in Qatar anywhere?
Yeah. Just know where I was.
Okay. So you weren't able to drink while you were there.
No. And I didn't go off post or anything. We were like
confined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously we weren't allowed to drink because we were at war.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some people got away with it. Probably, I'm sure. I don't know how they would, but I'm sure somebody.
We didn't, and I stayed clean that whole time I was deployed.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't mess around because I didn't know what would happen. I didn't want to be hungover if something went down.
Something crazy happened. Yeah, that's
scary.
probably better that way. Honestly, in case like a missile got launched, and you needed to fire one off.
Right.
How long were you there for in Qatar?
In Qatar, I think we were there like 2 or 3 months. And at this point, so when I first got to my duty station, I was a launcher dog, and we would prep the launchers, make sure they're up and running and stuff like that. Well, when we were still stateside before we deployed, we did something called a table 8, which is where we would emplace our launchers, get them ready to fire, do a mock fire thing, take them down. I was on the RSOP team. We would go to another location, set up again, do a fake fire. But we would do this in MOP 4. So it was like very difficult in White Sands, New Mexico, super hot.
MOP 4.
MOP 4, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Military orientated something posture. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
There's so many acronyms.
Basically a hazmat suit that traps all of the heat and moisture. And
with the mask, yeah. So we had just got a new commander to our unit, and I was on the RSOP team. So in order to get everyone in place, I had to run around like, you follow me down here. And we would get everyone set up, and then we would take a break. And then RSOP, we would map the route to the next spot, and then we would have to do it again. Well, this new commander saw me running around like a knucklehead, and he was like, hey, First Sergeant, who's that? And he was like, Yurick? He's like, yeah, he's a go-getter. I want him to be my driver. And First Sergeant was like, Yurick? Because he knew me, you know? So after this whole thing was done, the commander called me into his office. He was like, hey, Yurick. He was like, you were really hustling out there. I was like, hold, sir. I was like, when you're on RSOP, you have to do blah, blah, blah. He was like, I need that as a driver. I would like you to be my driver. And I was like, oh, no, thanks, sir. And he was like,
no, thanks, sir.
he was like, that was in order. And I was like,
that was in order.
So I had to switch because I had to leave my platoon of launcher dogs. Now I'm in headquarters. Now I'm the driver. Now I'm the guide on for our battery. Like it just changed my whole job basically, which I was not looking forward to.
Damn.
So now for runs, I'm up front holding the guide on and being prideful. You don't want to give that up. And I'm actively drinking at this time. So we would drink till 1 a.m., puke and rally, wake up early in the morning, go on run in the barracks. This is prior to being deployed. This is
gotcha. So he picked you to be his driver at Fort Bliss.
Yes. Yeah. Which I did not want to do.
Man. And he's like, that was in order. Not asking you. Correct. Not asking.
Because he didn't know who he was talking to yet. He had literally just got there like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So like he didn't know the knucklehead that I was. So yeah, there are times where I'm running in front of formation. I'd throw up real quick and keep running, and soldiers would come up like, hey, you want to give up? I'm like, nope, I got it. And like you would cramp up. Like running with the guide on was like the worst. But again, it was a pride that I'd never wanted to give it up. So anyway, fast forward to when we're deployed. So when we were deployed, I wasn't with launcher platoon. I was with headquarters. So I was working in the command post. So I would listen to the talk. I could hear all the allied forces talking. And like, it was actually really cool and very entertaining because we would do 24 on, 24 off, 8-hour shifts. And like, just listening to everything that's happening was just like entertaining in itself. So like when a TCM or a BCM would start heating up, they could see the area of risk. So over the talk, we would hear like TCM, area of risk, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, blah, blah, blah. As soon as we heard Qatar, we would have to get on the horn, scud alert, scud alert, scud alert. Everyone would have to get to the bunkers. We had the old school landlines in the bunkers. They would have to report site accountability to me. I would have to report that to Central Command. So like if one of our missiles missed and we blew up, they knew who all was on site to report. Yeah, it was pretty wild. So
that's pretty high stress.
It really was. And it was a lot more action than being launcher over there. Because launcher, once the launchers are up, you're just making sure they work. Like you're just kind of on standby. Whereas in the command post, like every day you're reporting things, you're listening to things. Like it was actually pretty interesting. So I was happy while we were deployed that I was in the command post because I was in the know. I knew what was going on, stuff that I couldn't tell any other soldiers on site. Like it was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I imagine it was a different experience, especially coming from stateside.
Correct.
Going out there, doing your actual job in an actual environment where people's lives are actually at risk.
Absolutely.
You know, but because I don't know a lot about Patriot missiles. A lot of other people probably don't. Patriot missiles, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
there's another acronym, Patriot, phase array tracking radar intercept on target.
I guess that makes sense that it actually meant something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there like that. There's, I mean, you've got the Iron Dome out there in Israel that we gave them all that stuff, I'm pretty sure. And there's probably a few other types, variants. I can't remember the names of them, but I know those are the two that I think of when I think of like air defense systems in the Middle East, just because obviously Israel gets rocketed all the time, or they've been historically getting rocketed all the time. All the military, U.S. military bases in the region have anti-air assets.
Yep.
Or air defense assets, because there's always that inherent concern that something could happen, whether from drones or from, something else, ICBM, whatever, rockets, So that's a valuable MOS. Now, I don't know what the transferability is. I mean, I guess you could get out and go work for Raytheon or Lockheed Martin or something.
Yeah, or you could be a truck driver, because we drove the Hemets. That's basically it. Yeah, there's not a big transition into the civilian world for that MOS.
Yeah. How long were you on Qatar for?
I think it was about 3 months. And then as Third ID was taking over on Baghdad, as they were getting closer, the air threat was kind of diminishing. So then it was really cool. I forget the name of the boat. It was like a something X1, and it was this like massive pontoon boat that looked very space age, and we drove our equipment on it, and then we rode that up the Gulf right outside to Kuwait City, and then we emplaced up there, and we were there for like probably 2 or 3 more months, and then Third ID took over Baghdad, and at that point the air threat was kind of diminished, so then we sent our equipment home. We stayed in country for like another month or two, just pulling details and helping other units out. And then we came back, and that was in like November 03-ish, somewhere around there, because I got out in December, and that was after getting stop loss, because the day we emplaced in Kuwait City was supposed to be my ETS date, but they stop lost all 14 tangos because we were at war and obvious needs of the government. So I was stop lost, I think, for like 3 or 4 months or something. So, but I had college lined up, I had a job lined up. Like, I thought I was getting out at this time.
Damn.
So, but no, because of the word, they're like, stop loss. And I'm like, what's a stop loss? Like, when they said it, I was like, what does that mean? And they're like, you're here until they tell you you're here. I was like, oh, okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
They said like just like you have an indefinite contract now, or
correct. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And there's literally nothing you could do about it.
Is that only for active folks?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I've never heard about that for like reserves but that is a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure.
So we were at, we were in Qatar, and then you went to Kuwait from there, right?
Yeah.
After you realized the air threat
was diminishing.
Yep. How long were you in Kuwait for?
About 3 months. And then once we sent our equipment home, then another like month and a half, just pulling details.
It was probably complicated sending all that equipment back.
It is, yeah. It was more complicated railroading it, because we had to put it all like stateside before we deployed. We had to put it all on railroad cars, and then it went down to Corpus Christi, Texas, got on a boat there, and then came over on a boat. It was more complicated to put it on the rail stuff, because here we just had to put it on a boat, which seemed kind of easier.
Yeah. And what base were you on? Arif John or something?
Arif John.
Yeah. Arif John? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's like where a lot of the big stuff is.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of built up.
We weren't on post. We were like a little outside of post. It was another weird name. I forget what it was. But it was a tent city, and we were right across from a makeshift airport, because I remember these Chinooks like coming in and just sand being all over our tent constantly. Like, yeah.
Okay, so you weren't inside of Arif John proper. You were out like a small spot outside of the base.
Yeah, like a couple clicks out or something.
Okay. Yeah, I'd been over there once, but I mean, obviously since 2023, it's probably a lot different during that period of time. It's probably been built up a lot, I imagine. I mean, they had barracks there and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
By the time I got out there, like full barracks buildings, air conditioners. Damn. Yeah. They had a movie theater on post. Like Arif John was like very, very built up in 2023. 20 years later, obviously. I mean, we've been there for a very long time doing a lot of things. Yeah. So you were, what month was that when you guys rotated out finally? Was it like, you got there in February, right? Mm-hmm. And then you were, 6 months?
Approximately.
March,
yeah.
April, May, June, July. So you came back in like August or something?
It was August, September, something like that. And then I got out in December of that year.
Oh, of that same year. So that was your first deployment.
Yep. And that was my initial enlistment too, and first deployment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They tried to get me to re-enlist. They were like, if you re-enlist, we'll send you to Germany, which I kind of wanted to go to Germany and do that and have fun. But I thought, like, number one, I knew I wanted to raise a family, and I could kind of see what happens with a lot of families for people that stay in a long amount of time.
Yeah.
A couple of things I saw with my leadership I wasn't too keen on. So I figured, like, I came back with my limbs and my sanity after a deployment. I figured me and Uncle Sam were squares. So I just got an honorable discharge and got out. And technically it was January of 2004.
Okay. Yeah. So honorable discharge, got out, had all your rights and privileges that an American citizen would have, and then where did you go once you got out?
So I came home, and it was weird because my parents had moved out of my childhood home while I was deployed. So I came home to a home I've never seen before, which was, yeah, that was definitely a mind. It was very weird.
Yeah.
But I stayed with them for about 2 months. The first 2 weeks, my stepmom realized I had a huge drinking problem, which I was just drinking, to me, what I thought was normal, because drinking with my buddies.
Yeah.
But when a civilian sees that, she was like, oh my God, like, she was freaked out.
Freaked out about it?
So my initial reaction was like, I don't need anybody tell me what I could do to drink. So I got an apartment. So I moved out as soon as I could. So now I'm living on my own. No one's telling me what not to drink. So
yeah. What year is this?
This was early 04.
Early 04?
Yeah, early 04. So I was a very highly functioning alcoholic. I held a job down. I paid all my bills. Like, because in my mind, I always said, like, I work very hard. As long as I get all my shit done, I deserve this drink.
Yeah.
I worked for this drink. I earned this drink, like, but my problem was, like, I could not regulate it, dude. Like, I could never just have one. I could, sometimes I would buy a 6-pack and be like, I'm only drinking a 6-pack. And as soon as I got to like the third one, I'm like, screw that. I'm going back out to the store, because now I'm 21. I could buy whatever I want. So then I would go out and buy a whole case, because I knew like the 6-pack wouldn't do it. And it was tough because, like, I love alcohol. I love the way it made me feel. I loved when I would listen to music while drinking, hanging out with people. Like, it just, to me, it made everything better. It made my relationships better. It made listening, experiencing things better. But with any addiction, to me, there's 3 steps. There's fun with problems, and then there's problems.
Yeah.
But the problem is, when you're in the addiction, you don't realize you're in the problem stage, because you're still actively using and you're still trying to fix and cover up something that, it's just like spinning on a hamster wheel. Like, it's not good. And with alcohol, you have to drink more because your tolerance gets better over time. So you're not just drinking a couple beers to get a buzz. Now you're throwing in shots to keep that buzz going. Now you're buying stronger beers to keep that buzz going. Like, now you're drinking and getting a buzz before you go out, because you feel like anxiety. You can't just go out and have your first drink while you're out, because you want to be that social butterfly that people expect you to be when you're drinking. So now you're getting a buzz on first, and then you're going out, getting super drunk, and then making horrible decisions. Like, it's just bad. But again, at the time when you're in it, it's the greatest thing ever. Like, God, it's just alcohol is such a liar, like, and when you're in it, you just fall for that lie over and over again. And then you become, what happened with me was my ego really amplified when I was drinking. I deserve this. I'm a war vet. I did it. Like, no matter what bad happened, I'd be like, well, don't you know what I did? Like, it was always, like, it was just, I didn't like that part of me when I was drinking. I liked the 5 beers, 2 shots, Joe. Anything after that, I was kind of an asshole. And like, it's again, because it's a spirit for a reason. It invokes something in you that's not really you. Like, it's not a good look. And
I've heard a few different interpretations of it. Like, a lot of folks I've heard have said that alcohol just enhances your personality. So if you're a nice person, generally, you're going to be like extrememe nice person, just like probably like all like touching people and all kinds of
I love you, man.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. If you're, on the other side, if you're, a jerk, you're going to be the biggest douche jerk of, you're going to be the biggest douche canoe of anybody's lifetime. And that people are going to be like, oh God, this dude's asshole, And it varies, like, again, like it really does. I mean, it depends on who the people are. I mean, like, I know a lot of people that drink they don't have any problems with it. Some people can, some people enjoy it, some people don't, It affects a lot of people differently. And I think the most important piece is just knowing what works best for you as the individual, because what works for one person may not work for you.
Correct.
For this anyway, for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I know plenty of people that drink socially and they're just fine.
Yeah.
No problems at all. They're like, no, I'll have a couple of drinks and then I'm good. And
I never
understood the purpose for that.
Yeah.
Or understand why they would want to have just a couple drinks and not just get shit housed, Yeah. My main thing is like, I got to a point where I could do like just a couple drinks and call it, but I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't have fun anymore. Like I didn't have fun unless I was getting like, hammered. And so I was like, I'm just going to stop because 2 or 3 isn't enjoyable for me.
Right.
And everything else past that is like becomes unmanageable and then you can't have a normal life. So, it just made it easier for me. But I mean, there's a lot of people out there that they don't mind having like a glass of red wine with their steak at night, or they don't mind having champagne or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Good power to them,
Yeah.
But
absolutely. I couldn't, but yeah, more power to that. I was always jealous of those people. I couldn't fathom like you just had one drink and you're not going to drink till next Friday. Like what?
Yeah. I wouldn't even say I'm jealous. I just don't care anymore because it's just like, cool, man. Have fun. I just like, I'm doing my thing. You do your thing, as long as you're happy. I found different things in my life to replace for that, like the big thing for me that I replaced with, for it was, working out and, sauna is a real big one for me. Like using the sauna has really helped me a lot. That's been like a big staple for me, but basically like fitness and, eating clean, eating healthy, working out. That's been like my big replacement because that does make me feel good. And I can do that for a long period of time and it doesn't have negative side effects for me.
It's great for you.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've replaced it with. I mean, pretty much dating back to, like I said, 2007, 8, really when I replaced everything like that. But again, it goes down to you had just gotten back. You couldn't live with your parents when your stepmom figured out that you're a little hellion, a little excessive. Yeah. Moved out on your own, living in an apartment. It was still 2024? Or sorry, 2004?
2004, yeah.
And what were you doing for work?
So my sister worked for a company that sold asbestos and mold remediation supplies, and they had a trucker that just quit out of nowhere. And when I say trucker, it's the 26-foot box truck. It's like the biggest truck you could drive without a CDL, with just a regular license.
Okay.
So like a big rider moving truck. So she called me one day and I wasn't doing anything. I was like a month out. I still had money saved up from when I was in. And she called, she was like, hey, our trucker's out. You could do it with just a regular license. Do you mind filling in? So I filled in and I ended up just working there. Like it started as temporary and then the guy offered me a full-time job.
Oh,
so
wow.
Then I decided to go to night school for criminal justice because when I got out, there was no aid when it comes to that military to civilian transition. Like now the VA has a lot of stuff. There's a lot of nonprofits that help with that. When I came out, it was just like, all right, thanks for your service. Adios.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of left with this silence. And like, at first I talked with a lot of my friends that I was in with and like I kind of kept relationships open through like MySpace. I'm dating myself. But there was a lot of silence. My friends up here noticed a difference in me. My humor was a lot darker. I was drinking a lot more. I just had a different view on things than I did prior. Yeah. So like I didn't have that relationship with them. So I decided that I missed the brotherhood of ethos that I had when I was in. So I was like, maybe I should be a cop. That kind of seems like the equivalency. So I started going to night school for criminal justice while driving this truck during the day. And about 8 months into it, I always try to like seek counsel before making a big decision. So about 8 months into school, I sat down with a state trooper, told him what my goals were, 5-year, 10-year. And he was like, you don't want to be a state trooper. He was like, they first could send you up to Erie, then to Pittsburgh, and then you really don't get to pick until you're like little senior enlisted.
Oh, they tell you where you're living.
As a state trooper, yeah. It's like,
Oh,
we need people
wow.
out here. You're there for 3 years. Oh, we need people here. Like, that could happen. So he was like, why don't you talk to a local cop? And I was like, oh, that's not a bad idea. So I go into Westchester, sat down with a cop. And thank God these officers were completely honest with me, because they could have been like, yeah, sign up here, you know. This guy, I told him my 5-year, 10-year plan, and he was like, you don't want to be a local cop. He was like, if I would want someone to be honest with me if I was asking them. He was like, my job sucked for like the first like 6 to 8 years. You're not making any money. If that red light goes out on Christmas Eve, you're standing at that intersection directing traffic. He's like, I've missed so much of my kids' stuff. He's like, and you want to have a family. He's like, you don't want to be a cop. And I was like, appreciate your honesty. But now I'm like what? That was the path I'm on. So I went to my truck driver job, and I told him, I was like, listen, I need to put in my 2 weeks. I need to figure out like what I'm doing with my life. And he was like, whoa. He's like, you got the gift of gab and you already know the product. He's like, why don't you try sales? He was like, you could make a lot more money, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, I'll try that until I figured something else out.
Yeah.
Dude, being in sales, I recommend that just like I recommend joining the military. It changes you because it makes you look inside yourself. It makes you deal with rejection. It makes you navigate relationships. Like, being in a sales position was like such a blessing for me, because at first I was super cocky. Like, I know what I sell. I know our customers, like, I got this. But then you start getting the rejection, and then you're like, then you don't want to dial the phone. And then you're just like, but if I don't dial, I don't make that much money. So through coaching, I kind of honed my sales in. And within 2 years, I became full commission. And then within 2 years, I became the top salesman. So I'm now making buku bucks, and I'm a triple threat, because not only am I selling the product, if I have a customer like, dude, I need this Saturday. I know you guys don't work on Saturday. I was like, bro, I'll deliver it myself, because I've already done that. So I talked to the boy, hey, do you mind if I make this run on Saturday? He's like, it's your customer. So I hop in the truck. Now here's your salesman delivering all this product, which no one else was doing. So that way I was cleaning up on all the emergency jobs. So yeah, I was just like lighting the world on fire, making buku bucks. My wife's now pregnant with our second child. Like, everything's looking good. Well, we moved warehouses, and I don't know to this day what caused this conversation, but the owner of the company calls me into the office and was like, Joe, I got to talk to you. And I'm like, what could he possibly have to talk to me about? Like, my sales are going up every year. I'm doing better and better. And I only get a cut of the margin of what you're making, because I'm on full commission. So the more I sell, the more I make. You know, there's no like real downside for the owner. He was like, I don't know how to put this, but you're making too much money. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I've been talking to my financial analysis, and I need to cap you at this amount. I'm going to need you to get your own cell phone and start paying your own fuel card. And I'm like, wait, what? Because I got a fuel card and a cell phone. That was part of the job. And if you've ever been in sales, you have a flame inside you that every day needs to be fed in order to scratch that itch of being a successful salesman. As soon as that conversation happened, that flame was extinguished. Because now I'm like, wait, what? So no matter how hard I work, I'm capped here, and now I'm paying out of pocket to travel to new customers and paying my own cell phone. Like, do you want to lose your top salesman?
Yeah.
And he was like, this is what it is. And I was like, all right, well, I'm done. I got up and walked out, and I was like, shh. I called my wife, who's a stay-at-home mom, pregnant with her second child. I was like, guess what I did, honey? And I told her, and she was like, no, go back in there and tell me you want your job back. And I was like, he crossed the line. I can't sell for him. I was like, I can't do it. She's like, what are you going to do for money? I was like, I don't know. So I called some of my customers, ended up getting a job for one of my really good customers, doing asbestos abatement, like vermiculite out of attics, asbestos off of pipes, like working in the field. Didn't really like that too much. So then I kind of job top, and then I found this job working for a concrete company where I was a special projects project manager. And all throughout this time, I'm still drinking. I'm hiding it from my wife. But again, I'm a very functioning alcoholic, because I make sure all my is done, and then I booze it up at home. So with working with this concrete company, they've been around for like 20 years. They're very well established. the foremen there, they didn't need babysat. So like in between, they would do like big Amazon flat pours, like huge Amazon warehouses. Well, they needed stuff for the crews to do. Like as a big job was winding down and a new one was starting up, they would do the special projects. Well, after we would land a special project, would kind of wait until they needed it again. So then I started doing things that were outside of my job description, helping with their social media, just trying to update their logo, trying to just do all sorts of things that weren't my job. And my wife was like, Joe, you were hired to do this. Just do this. Stop doing the other stuff. I can't get paid and not work. I can't just sit here and wait for something to happen. So I felt like I was being productive. And she's like, they're going to fire you if you keep this up. So there are 4 owners. One day they called me into their office and I'm like, crap, my wife was right. This is going to happen. So I'm like bracing for impact. And they're like, Joe, you're just a special project manager, right? I was like, yeah. They're like, it seems like you're doing a lot of other things. I'm like, just like ready. And they're like, we just found out about a veteran-owned and operated franchise. It's a junk removal company called J-Dog. We think you would be perfect for that. And I'm like, what? They're having a mixer this Friday. We want to send you there, report back on Monday. So I was like, okay.
So they're like, we found a job position that might be a good fit for you?
Where they would buy the franchise and I would run it. They saw like a mutual...
Were these guys own like multiple businesses?
They have, yeah. And they were buku, like they would do, I think they were averaging like 30 mil a year in sales. So like they were like upper echelon. They've been doing this forever. Great guys. And so I go to this thing, and since I've been out, I never really had an opportunity to like celebrate the fact that I was a vet. Like unless you knew me, I didn't wear the OIF hat or, like I just kind of kept it to myself.
Yeah.
So I went to this mixer. I saw that it was veteran-owned, veteran-operated. It was all for vets. They drive these really cool camo, what I would like to call obnoxiously beautiful wrap trucks. And I was like, this is kind of cool. So I come back on Monday. I was like, I could see myself doing that. So they set me up with the first territory. I'm running it. I'm learning this new industry of junk removal. I'm starting to hire veterans. Things are getting busier. And as time goes on, I realized that there's not enough money in this for 5 people because there's 4 owners and me. We're all in this venture together. So eventually I was like, can I like buy you guys out and kind of just run with this? And they saw the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into this. So they basically for a super low amount kind of just gave me the company. They're like, you know what? Like you really built this. You're doing good. Like, good luck. Here you go. And I'm like, man, that like, it was truly a blessing for how they set me up with this. So then I kept running that company. Within 2 years, I bought a second territory, the Lancaster, which is a city, because I was in Southern Lancaster County, which is like where I grew up, like all Amish and farms and stuff. So I finally bought a territory with a city. So now I have 2 territories. I'm operating. I'm doing good. I'm still drinking heavily. Now to the point where my wife was like, listen, you're looking visibly drunk in front of the kids. Like, first of all, you need to stop drinking during the week. Let's limit it to the weekends. And then on the weekends, just do like 3 beers, like I know you like your high octane beers. Let's just limit it to a couple beers.
So during the weekdays, you were drinking heavily every time you would get back from work?
As soon as I was home, dude, it's like, yes, day's done. Cause like when you're in a hoarder clean out that smells like a dumpster fire behind Red Lobster, life sucks. And you're like, thinking about that beer at the end of the day, like, let me just make it through today and I'll be all right once I get home. So I started using it as the carrot dangling as the finish line, which is a very unhealthy thing to do with alcohol. So that was taken away from me during the week. So now I'm kind of bitter doing my job. Like, can't drink till Fridays, bull. And then Friday would come, I would buy a 6-pack, which would last Friday and Saturday. But now I'm buying a 5th of Southern Comfort that I would hide strategically throughout the house in the basement next to the washer and dryer. Hey, babe, I'm going to go switch laundry over. Next to the barbecue pit. Hey, babe, I'm cooking some burgers. When she's not looking. Because, again, as an addict, I couldn't only drink 3 beers a night. That's not enough. I couldn't get there. So I had to start sneaking it. And, like, I wish I realized the red flags earlier. But, like, as a man, head of household, paying all the bills, you shouldn't have to sneak any. If you're sneaking something, something's wrong. But it didn't click because, again, when you're an addict and you're actively using, you're navigating how to feed your addiction. Yeah. You're not looking at it as a problem. Again, fun with problems, problem. You're not looking at it as a problem. You're looking at how can I make this work with these new rules. So as time goes on, I got back from this one function, and it's tough too because I'm like in BNI groups, in RPP groups, in any networking group I could be in because you have to network to get work. So a lot of them have functions at bars. They're all like first drinks free, come out 6 to 8, whatever. Well, I went to this one function. It was a luncheon. It had an open bar. I drank way too much. And again, being super irresponsible because I do junk removal where we drive to the customer's house, do the job, drive to the landfill, drive to the scrapyard, come back. And I'm now going to these networking events and driving home drunk, risking my career. But again, when you're in the addiction, you're not looking at it like
you're going to networking events and getting hammered and driving home?
And driving home, like, yeah, definitely way past the legal limit.
How frequently were you doing that?
Bi-weekly.
Oh, man.
For
that's risky.
A year and a half, 2 years. It's very risky.
Holy cow.
Again, that's drunk Joe. That's not this Joe.
Yeah.
So one day I get home from an open bar networking lunch. I got home at like 4 o'clock and I passed out on the couch. So by the time my wife got home, she sees me passed out and she's like, this is the last straw. Like, I need to figure out why he's this drunk this time of the day. So she starts looking through the house. She found my stash of empties because I would I would have the empties collect until I could find a time where I could take them out and no one could see me. She found my stash, and I'm stupid. I had the receipts in each bag with the empty bottle. So now she could see the frequency and the volume of what I'm drinking. So what she did was she put every empty bottle, like I was passed out on the couch. There's a table at the end of this couch. She put every empty bottle there and took a picture because she knew I needed evidence, or I'd be like, what are you talking about? I deny.
Yeah.
So the next morning, she texted me that picture. I was at work. She texted me the picture of me passed out with the bottles because she cleaned it all up before I got up and said, we need to talk tonight. And I was like, ooh. I didn't realize she found my stash. Yeah. So that night she takes me on the porch and we've got to the point where in the past she had threatened, like, listen, if you don't stop, we're done, you know? And I just kind of was like, whatever. I would slow down for a little, but then it would ramp back up. But this time she looked at me and she had this like look on her face where I knew she was not playing. And here's this woman who like I pursued, is the love of my life. I gave my last name to. We have a family together, this beautiful foundation together. She's now forced to bring an ultimatum to me. And she says, like, you need to quit drinking or you're leaving. I'm like, what do you mean I'm leaving? Like, this is my house. I pay the mortgage. She's like, no, me and the kids have done nothing wrong. You're the one doing something wrong. If you don't stop this, you need to leave. I'm like, babe, like, I run my business out of this house. Like, where am I supposed to go? And she's like, I don't care. We're not the ones doing something wrong. Figure it out. And I'm like, it hit. I could tell she was dead serious. Like, she literally was ready to let this whole relationship go. Now, quick backstory, like you, my parents are divorced. I got divorced when I was 9. So I'm a child of divorce. And I told my wife when we got married, no matter what happens in life, we have to work it out because I don't want my kids going through what I went through. I want 2 loving parents in this household as long as they're in the household.
Yeah.
So when she brought this to me, it hit me in a way that nothing ever had before. Like, my soul sunk. The weight of the world was now on my shoulder because I'm like, this next decision will decide how my children are raised, how my business is done, what direction my life is going to go in. Because when you're an addict drinking as much as I was, there's literally only 2 finish lines: prison, death. There's no positive ending to the path that I was on.
Yeah.
So I took all that into consideration. I looked at her and I said, all right, because again, when you're in the addiction like this, quitting forever is not even fathomable. Like, nope. That's just not even a thought. So I was like, why don't I quit for 6 months and then we'll reassess? To me, I'm thinking 6 months is a deployment. I've done it before. I can do it again. We'll be okay. So she was like, all right, fine, 6 months. I quit that day. In hindsight, I think I brought up before, delirium tremens is a disease where when you quit cold turkey after drinking that much, within 3 to 4 days, you literally can die from withdrawal. Yeah. That's how bad it is for your body. I didn't know that was a thing. I just quit. I will never sugarcoat sobriety because it is the hardest thing I've ever done. That first like week or two, dude, the way I felt like death. Like, I'm so blessed that I didn't die, because I didn't even know that was a possibility, but I truly felt it. And like even that first 6 months, dude, first thing I noticed was I felt like I was unplugged from the matrix. I didn't know who I was. My brain was not braining like it normally does. I felt like naked to the world. I felt like an armor was ripped off of me, because now I don't have this thing that I've used for everything. When I was happy, I would drink. When I was sad or stressed out, I would drink. When, like, I used it as a goal finish line for any hard day of my life. Now that is all taken from me. So now I have to sit with my emotion. I have to figure out who Joe Yurick really is. I lost a lot of friends in the beginning because all my friends are drinkers. You know, like a couple stayed true and would hang out with me and not drink. But for the most part, you lose a lot of people. You realize how boring life is, because where you're always drinking before, now you're just like, what do I do now? Like, I used to drink this much that now I'm like friggin' bored. Then emotions start popping up, dude. Like, my emotions were on such a roller coaster in the beginning because I've never dealt with them from the age, like I started drinking at like 16, 17. I quit at 40. So like, I've never dealt with my emotions. And it's bizarre too, because like on Friday nights, we'd be watching a Disney movie, and the boys, I have two boys that look over, they're like, why is dad crying? Dad, are you okay? And I'm like, sure, don't look at me. I'm like bawling my eyes out watching freaking Lilo and Stitch. Like, and I've never cried before like that. So like my boys are like, what is going on? Like, it was such a weird thing. But then I started noticing, like, at the 6-month mark, I sat down with my wife and I reassessed. The only thing that I was missing was selfish. I missed the buzz. I missed the social aspect. I missed that goal, that feeling it gave me, like Popeye with spinach. Like, I freaking love drinking. But everything else was better. My relationships with my wife, my kids, my business was better. My memory was better. My sleep was better. I lost 50 pounds because I wasn't quadrupling my daily caloric intake with these high octane
50
beers.
pounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 6 months. It was like, and it just shed off me. Again, I'm doing junk removal, so I'm doing a very active job. I'm just now not stacking the alcohol on it.
Are you still doing that job now?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing it 8 years.
8 years, all right.
I noticed my money, dude. My money is ridiculous how much money I had, because not only was I paying for craft beer, which is so expensive, I was eating like shit. So now I'm ordering food, and then I'm doom scrolling on Amazon. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Buying shit. Like, I don't do any of that anymore. So now all that money is in my pocket.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was using my tip money from work to fund that, because I'm like, it's not really affecting my main money. So now I'm just stacking my tip money, which is really cool. But I was still like, I still wasn't me yet. I still wasn't confident and comfortable. But I did notice, like, I got a counselor in the beginning, because no matter how strong you think you are, nobody can do this on their own. You need a support system. And as men, it's hard for us to accept that, but you have to. So I went through like 3 therapists. First 2 were females. And it's not that I didn't like them because they were females. It's just that I felt like I couldn't really open up to them the way I wanted to. And then I found a male therapist who was addicted to meth for like 13 years, alcoholic, prison, hit rock bottom, and has been sober for like 20 years now. He's a therapist. He and I hit it off right away because he knew. He was way off than I was, like, because I wasn't into drugs or anything. But like, he just helped me in so many ways, give me all these tools to kind of deal with it. He would let me vent. He would let me be the real me and say things that I just wasn't comfortable saying with a female therapist. But I say that to say this: find something that works for you, whether it's a therapist, whether it's AA, whether it's your church. My wife was huge. My wife, my faith, and my therapist are the only reasons I'm sober to this day. Mainly my wife, because as I'm going through these up and downs, she's just with me, rubbing my back. She didn't hold anything against me that I did while I was drinking, because she realizes that I chose her. I had an addiction. I had something that I loved that was literally part of my fabric. It was part of my life. I let that go because I love this woman so much. And she's amazing. She literally is my rock. Like, I'm so blessed to have her in my life. And the fact that she had the intestinal fortitude to give me that ultimatum, because I see it in a lot of other couples. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to risk losing their man. And there are a lot of people that the man would choose alcohol and say, all right, fine, we're done here. And luckily I was smart enough, because I had to take my emotion out of it because, again, I freaking love alcohol. I loved everything about it. But I had to sit back and think like, wow, this woman who has my last name, my kids, like, is willing to leave me. She loved me. And she told me that day, she's like, I love you, tears in her eyes, but I don't love Joe when he's drinking. And I can't do this. I can't have my kids watch this. Like, and she even told me like a month later, I honestly thought you were going to pick the alcohol. I thought I was going to lose you. And that hurt because, again, she's my better half. She's literally the love of my life. And like, she thought I was going to choose putting a liquid to my mouth over this foundation that we created, this family with 2 beautiful boys. So that's where my logic kicked in. And I was like, I need to kick this, you know? So yeah, support system is a must. You have to do that. Well, now the year mark came. So I was like, let's do another 6 months because everything's going well and then we'll reassess. So that 6 months came and went. Now I'm starting to realize who I am again. Now I'm starting to build my confidence back because by having these small wins, by watching a Eagles game without drinking a beer, by having a good week and not celebrating a beer, by doing a hoarder clean out and not going home and pounding a couple beers, I wake up the next day, I'm not hungover. I wake up the next day, I'm not looking at my phone like, I did not text in that. Holy crap. I'm not waking up with that anxiety of like, shit, what did I say to Katie last night, my wife? Because like there's a note on my pillow, you know, like all that is gone. So now I'm starting to realize like, man, you can life without alcohol. This is interesting. So now with all these wins, I'm starting to very slowly, again, if you quit drinking, it is a process. It is not going to happen quick. It is the hardest thing I've ever done, but it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done. It's worth the wait. So year and a half goes by, and in the beginning, I started doing what I call a weekly celebration of sobriety. I found this cool rucksack on a job. I filled it up with a bunch of to last like 3 days in the woods if I ever get lost. And every Saturday morning when my schedule allows it, I go on a ruck march. There's this trail near my house. It's 5.3 miles. It's the perfect thing to like have something at the end of the week to know like I can't drink Friday night because last thing I would ever want to do hungover is go on a freaking ruck march. So I'm doing these weekly celebration sobrieties. And prior to this, back when I was drinking, I would go for walks in the woods. I would get inspiration for like videos for ideas for work. Just like everything would come to me. I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn, which is an earth sign, or just something about me being in the woods. I get super creative. Well, when I quit drinking, I was like, man, I can't wait for like shit to be flowing. This is going to be awesome. Literally for like the first year, nothing. I'm doing these ruck marches and it's just me in the woods. And it's literally like, hello, like nothing is happening. So finally, I kind of got fed up with God and I called him out. I'm on this ruck march and I'm like, God, I'm over a year sober. I'm on the path that I thought you chose for me. I mended everything with my wife, my kids. Everything is going well. Like, why don't you use me? Give me a purpose with this sobriety. Like Isaiah 6:8. Here I am, Lord, send me. Like, I've done everything right. Use me like something. So like, I'm literally talking out loud. I'm like screaming at God. I turn this one corner on the trail that I have 100 times before. And in my head, clear as day, I hear this sober vet. I'm like, this sober vet, like, what is that? So now my mind starts racing. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'd never really listened to podcasts prior. I might have listened to like 1 or 2 Joe Rogan podcasts that someone sent me or a David Goggins thing, but like I wasn't a podcaster. But I'm like, is that a podcast? Like, is that the vehicle where I could bring this message to the world? Because normalizing sobriety with the veterans is a conversation that I've never heard. So if God wants me to bring this conversation to the world, dude, I'm honored. So I go home, I'm on fire. I talk to my wife. I'm like, babe, God talked to me. He wants me to do a podcast called This Sober Vet, blah, blah, blah. I'm going on. And she's like, this is why I love my wife, because she's brutally honest, like all the time. She's like, that sounds cool and all, but like, you're just one guy that quit drinking. Yeah, you happen to be a vet, but like, you almost need like a therapist to bring like the science with you. And then maybe you could start a podcast. And I'm like, damn, that's actually a good idea. So in networking, I thought I had a huge network. So I'm like, this should be easy. I'll find a vet who's also a therapist and see if they'll like be my co-host. So reach out to my network. I know hundreds of therapists. I know thousands of veterans. I couldn't find one therapist that was also a vet. And I knew like they had to be both because you have to walk this path in order to get it, to have this level of comfort that most veterans have, that any that I've dealt with, I automatically have a sense of like trust, purpose with, because I know you get it. You've been there. You've made the sacrifices. Like there's just a level of understanding. So couldn't find anything. Now like 2-3 months goes by and I'm like getting hard on myself because I'm like, man, I'm already failing. Like God literally gave me this gem and I can't get it off the ground. So one morning before church, I'm scrolling through IG and I see my supply sergeant just posted something about Evolve therapy. And I was like, oh, Sergeant Thomas, she's a therapist. So I DM'd her right then. I was like, hey, Sergeant T, it's Yurick. And we haven't talked in 20 years since I got out.
She was your supply sergeant at your previous unit?
Yeah.
But when you were still in?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and yeah, we deployed together and like, so I reached out and I was like, hey, I have a really cool idea. Can you call me? She called me that afternoon. I told her exactly what happened. And she was like, that's really cool. I would love to. So November of last year, November of 23, we started This Sober Vet. Episode 1 was me telling my story because I figure like if I want my guests to be vulnerable, I have to lead by example. So I started with my story. I introduced Dr. T on episode 1. And then episode 2, moving forward, we have veterans, active duty, male, female, all branches, all MOSs, all different addictions come on just to tell their story. And again, no one's going to quit until they're ready.
Yeah.
But if we can plant a seed, if we could be a ray of light for those still in the dark, if we can show a veteran who's currently struggling, like, look, all these other veterans were where you are, and look at where we are now, sober and thriving. You could do that too.
Yeah.
That's our whole purpose, is just to be a ray of light for those in the dark, to put a little crack in the dam, just to get them to consider sobriety. Because I guarantee you, if you're on the path where I was on, it's only a matter of time till prison or death. And if you don't want to end up in those places, you got to try sobriety. With This Sober Vet, it's just vets telling their sobriety story to show you that if you're struggling now, you can do it, bro. We've all done it, male, female. Addiction does not choose, but we're all sober on this side. We're thriving.
I think one of the most important things that you just said is not doing this by yourself. That's I think that's probably the single most important. Not that everything else wasn't, right, but for people that are desperately wanting help or wanting to change their life or wanting to quit, but they just don't know how. Mm-hmm. You need a support network.
100%.
That's a reason why AA and NA and all these other organizations have worked for so long. AA specifically. Yep. NA, it's kind of like a little bit wishy-washy. I mean, I've seen some people that have been very successful with it, but I've seen a lot more success from people that were at AA. Mm-hmm. I don't know why that is. That's just from my limited exposure to people that I know. But
right.
Part of the reason why that stuff is so successful is because there's other folks that have shared experiences that they, you meet up with every day, every day,
right,
every single day, especially when they're getting started for the first time. That's the most important part, because especially if they're anything like what you're describing is, like somebody who's a heavy drinker that drinks every single day, and that's like the one thing they look forward to the most every single day. Yeah. It's going to be very hard to stop without some sort of support network to people you can talk to who've also done the same thing or walked the same path. Yep. And that is very important, because there's a lot of people that, much like folks that go on diets, to compare the weight loss community and this, a lot of folks go on diets. They kind of adhere to the diet a little bit, and they like kind of cheat. They don't really stick to it very strictly. And then when it isn't working, they just stop and they just start doing whatever they were doing before. Right. That happens with people who are trying to get sober a lot too. A lot of people, they wishy-washy, they kind of try it. They got like 10 toes in, 10 toes out. They're not really fully committed. They're not working with anybody to hold them accountable. And a lot of times they fail, and then they act like there's no solution. But that's because they didn't have that support network. You know, now obviously, again, it goes back to it's up to the individual. Like everybody's got their own flavor. They've all got their own thing that works best for them.
Right.
And it's not going to be for everybody. It's going to be for the people that need it, though.
Correct.
Or the people that want it.
Yeah. Like AA wasn't really for me. I went to a couple meetings and it just, I didn't jive with that vibe.
Yeah.
So that's why I leaned on other things.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you break it down to its most simplest form, the reason why it's so difficult is because it's you versus you.
Yeah.
You're the one making the choice of continuing the addiction or quitting the addiction. And that's why after I got like to that year part, I realized that I did something that no one in the world could say they've done. I beat Joe Yurick. And that's why I started getting my confidence back. And a buddy of mine actually made these bracelets for me. It says, I beat Joe Yurick. Just as a reminder for when I'm feeling weak, I look down and I say, dude, I did something no one in the world could say they did.
Yeah.
I beat Joe Yurick. That keeps me sober to this day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let me down. I already beat me. That was the hardest fight I've ever done. I'm not going back.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you can be your own worst enemy.
Absolutely.
Human beings can definitely be their own worst enemies. And you can definitely get in your own way from a lot of things. Yep. But yeah, a lot of what your story that you were explaining about like was, you know, the amount of money you had left over instead of all that money that you wasted, you know, all of the money that I was spending on that kind of stuff previously. And of course, this is all, you know, when I was, you know, before I'd ever even thought of joining the military was, you know, I was wasting a lot of money and all that money ended up going towards food. So now I can afford decent food, you know. As you can see, I have a lot of holes in my shoes and I don't really care because it's like, I would rather eat good food and have shoes that I can put on and they get the job done. You know, I don't really care about my car all that much. I want to have a nice house. I would like to live in a nice house. I'd like to live in a safe neighborhood. I'd like to have some nice guns. I would like to be able to eat well, you know, and then whenever I start having a family, I'd like to be able to take good care of my children. You know, I don't have any kids yet, but you know, all the money that I would be spending on things like that, I would rather spend on stuff that's really good for me, like food, like a gym membership, like buying a sauna, like whatever, you know, being able to afford good dental bills, medical bills, all that stuff, things that are actually good for my body, my physical body, and things that make me feel good naturally, you know, and that's, I've come to find a lot more rewarding. You know,
and that's a sober mind. That's very smart because now you're investing in the best thing you ever can yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, investing in other people is good too. I think there's a lot of facets, but yeah, for sure. If you like, well, I think it goes back to if you can't take care of yourself, how can you be expected to take care of other people? Right. Or if you can't help yourself, how can you help other people? Or if you don't help yourself, then how can you be available to be present for people when they reach out asking for help?
That's a huge, I'm glad you brought that up. One of the best benefits of being sober, my boys know that I'm available 24/7 to help them. Yeah. Whereas before, if it was after 5, oh, don't ask dad to pick you up. Yeah. You know, like they knew. But now, not only am I present in things and I remember things, I'm there, available 24/7. Yeah. And that's such a good feeling. And that brought me a lot closer to them because now they know I'm a man of my word. I'm not lying about where I am. I'm fully transparent and I'm dependable. Yeah. And that means a lot to your loved ones.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, it means a lot to your close friends too. Yeah. You know, the tough thing is like one of the hardest parts about, I would say, sobriety is like the emotional stuff. Because you don't have any way of covering that up. You deal with regret, you deal with loss, you deal with uncomfortability. People are going to screw you over occasionally, and you got to deal with betrayal. You got to deal with, you know, a lot of negative stuff. You also deal with, you know, you get to actually feel genuinely happy. You get to feel real joy. Authentic, that wasn't created synthetically with a chemical that was made in a, you know, a liquor plant or whatever, you know. Emotions are a little bit more raw, you know, and so some things might sting more when they happen because you don't have a way to numb it out.
Correct.
You know, but that's part of being a human being.
It is. And it's the ultimate flex. It's funny because back when I was drinking, my biggest flex was I'm the last one up drinking because I don't want people drawing dicks on my face like we used to do.
Yeah.
But that would be my biggest flex. Or I would drink till I threw up or drink till all the liquor's gone. That's not a flex. A real flex is being a man, dealing with emotions, being accountable.
Yeah.
That's a real flex. Investing in yourself, taking care of yourself, being a good father, being a good friend. That's the ultimate flex.
Yeah.
Drinking yourself stupid, that's not a flex. That's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that stuff goes hand in hand, being, holding yourself accountable and being dependable, being reliable, being honorable, being truthful, being somebody that people can talk to about stuff, being available, all those things. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that reach out to me at various times that I served with, and, you know, they know, and I've told them, like, hey, man, I might not always be able to answer right then because I'm busy as hell, you know, but I will always call you back. You know, if I didn't answer that time, I'll call you back when I've got a break on my stuff, you know.
And then you become an inspiration for your circle. One thing that I'm very proud of is since I started this journey, I have at least a half a dozen friends who have reached out and said, hey, dude, like, I'm 6 months in, I'm watching you, you're doing good. I'm sober 6 months or this. And I'm like, damn, that's awesome. Like the fact that I'm affecting people in a positive way to get them to change their drinking habits, that's all God's work, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah, you know, I come to find in my limited time on this earth that God oftentimes works through other people.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
You know, now I don't claim to be a tool that God's working through by any means. In fact, a lot of people probably think that there's a lot of people that probably think I'm an evil person. I'm sure, because like there's just a lot of people on the internet that, you know, they want to believe whatever they want to believe. Mm-hmm. I don't like waste too much time worrying about that, but you know, I do think that, you know, whatever your higher power of your own understanding is that you believe in, if you believe in things, then, you know, I do think that they put, or that thing, that entity puts people in your lives for a reason. And, you know, you never know how much of an impact you could end up having on someone's life from saying a phrase, a sentence, a paragraph, making a statement, saying a few things, giving your experiences. There's going to be clips made from this that somebody might, you know, need to hear that day that they might not have heard otherwise, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's not always going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. You know, no human's going to be perfect. I'm not going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. You know, I think part of the whole journey is like learning to accept accept life on life's terms. You know, you're not going to be in control of everything. You can be in control of yourself.
And your reaction. Pretty
solid in how you react. Yeah. Because like 95% of your life is how you react to things around you.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. And so if you can find a way to balance that and react in a positive manner or a constructive manner at least, or without being self-destructive, correct, I think that's a good first step. I mean, you can still feel anger. Mm-hmm. You can still feel pain. That doesn't mean you should wallow in that stuff necessarily. I think it's good to, it's part of being a human to have these emotions, right, but not allowing your brain to just soak in it all the time, I think is also a good thing to remember. And like, you know, I think if whatever helps people is good. If counseling helps people, good. Mm-hmm. Try doing counseling. If going to AA works for people, good. Go do that. Like if
video games, that's
if video games helps, do video games. Right. If calling your friends helps, call your friends. Whatever you got to do, you know. If meditation helps, meditate.
Read a book.
Read a book. Whatever it is that works for you, that helps you through stuff, I think is valuable. And I think that part of what makes life easier for me is just like removing that entire thing from the equation, you know. And
me too, because it's way too much of a distraction, especially to an addict.
Yeah, and there's just I'm already too busy as it is to barely fit time. I don't get to do anything really that recreational. I definitely don't have time for that. Right. at all. And
But
so,
then it steals the next day too, because then you're
Yep.
hungover, you're not performing right. Like it's a thief.
yeah, it's a time thief. So for me, and again, everybody's different. There's a lot of people out there, I would never want people to not live their lives as they see fit. I wouldn't want to make it illegal. I think like people should, as adults, like make your own decisions. But
And that's one thing I would like to get clear on too. I'm not against anything. Whatever your substance of choice is, if you could do it responsibly, more power to you.
Sure.
I'm not saying everyone should be sober because that's totally unrealistic. Just because it's my choice, it's not your choice.
Right. It's not what's going to fit their lives. Exactly. Right. Yeah. And plus I have a lot of friends that do drink and I want them to feel comfortable drinking around me, which they do because I don't ever even it's not something I even notice or recognize. Right. It's just not a part of my life. That's all. Mm-hmm. Like plenty of people around me, I know that I've got tons of friends. They all drink and I don't even know. It's not something that I even I notice. Right. At all. Like, it's just like, it'd be like if someone was drinking a glass of water. I'm like, okay, they're drinking a glass of water. Yeah. It's not like anything to me. But at the same time, like there are people out there that may be going through something that might need to hear my experiences or your experiences or other people's experiences that have been through whatever they've been through that they can relate to. And maybe that person is like feeling, like they're not sure what they can do.
If you're in that problem stage, you need to consider sobriety. That's why our mission statement is the Sober Vet is we're here to normalize sobriety with veterans who are using and abusing substances in a harmful, self-medicating way. If you're using things, cool. If you're doing it in a harmful, self-medicating way, that's when it's a problem and you need to consider sobriety. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm not saying everyone needs to be sober. We're just trying to be a light for those that are still in the dark. If you were like me by any means, just consider sobriety. And what I tell people is too, try for 6 months. If your life doesn't get better in 6 months, you can always go back to the misery you're in. Alcohol will always be there. Weed will be there. Pills, everything will still be there. Yeah. Try for 6 months. See what happens.
Yeah. And you know what else I've noticed a lot of folks can do that makes it more manageable is doing it in more bite sizes. Right. Maybe you just do it for 24 hours. Yeah. And then maybe the next day you see if you were like, okay, that's not bad. Let's do it for another 24. Right.
And a relapse is not the end of the world. It's part of your journey.
Yeah.
If you relapse, just get back on the horse. It's fine.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Yeah. Because that happens a lot to a lot of people. That doesn't mean that it's like, well, I can't, because I know a lot of people that relapsed and died. And we don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like, it's much better for you to survive and just like get back on the horse. Right. It's okay. People are going to make mistakes. You're a human being. You're going to screw up occasionally, But again, it's on the individual, what they want to do, how they want to live. Like, I can't tell somebody what's right for them any more than they can tell me what's right for me. Correct. The only thing we can do is just provide people perspective and give them personal experiences and say, hey, this is some things I did that worked. Mm-hmm. I used to be miserable and depressed and anxious all the time when I was a kid, all the way up until I, quit drinking and quit doing other stuff. And granted, I still have my fair share of anxieties and stresses, but they're caused by more human factors now than other things. Usually relationships are the things that are the most stressful for me. But most of the other stuff beforehand was just like self-induced and could have easily been avoided, had I found other hobbies to institute into my life that were positive and made me feel good.
But you know what? It's a part of your journey because now you're leaning on that as what not to do and you know how not to act. So it's all you had to go through that to get to where you are today.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think, I had to, and I've always been that way. I have to learn things the hard way. I got to do, I got to run into the wall first before I realize it's painful. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that can probably relate to that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. A lot of people that got to, and a big thing is pain. Pain is a big motivator, and pain is very helpful for getting people to change their decision making. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes if people didn't feel some sort of pain from something, they would just keep doing it. It'd be like, if you didn't feel pain from sticking your hand in a hot flame, well, what's going to keep you from sticking your hand in a hot flame? Correct. You know,
if my wife didn't look me in my eye and give me that ultimatum and that pain I felt in my core, I wouldn't quit drinking.
Yeah. You had, that was probably a very painful thing to experience.
I've ever experienced. It was horrible.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have gone through similar experiences as well, that had spouses or girlfriends or other things or other people that were like, hey, it's either it or me, you know, make a choice. And they chose it or they chose whatever the circumstances were. But there's also worse things that could have happened. Like you could have killed somebody driving back drunk from one of those conferences and then been in jail for the rest of your life. And then your kids not have their father and the wife not have the husband. Like that would have been a disaster.
And not even knowing what happened.
And not even knowing what happened.
Like, I killed someone last night? What do you mean? Like,
and I guarantee you there are people that have had that experience.
Oh, that's
which
horrible.
is a terrible, what a depressing thought that is. But like, there's a lot of people out there that were given a second chance or given another opportunity to win at life. And, you know, life is short, man. You got to take advantage of every positive opportunity to elevate yourself. Yeah.
And being sober is not a fix-all of everything.
No.
Life is still going to life. There's going to be situations you're in. It's just now you're dealing with it in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. Instead of destroying yourself, you're managing it and moving on. And it's just because a lot of people see the good of sobriety. Sobriety, like everything's hard. Being fat is hard. Being skinny is hard. Choose your heart. Being sober is hard. Being a drunk is hard. Choose your heart. You know, like just I don't like to sugarcoat sobriety and say everything's amazing because it's not. It's very difficult, but everything else is better because you're now in control.
Yeah,
you're not being controlled by a substance.
Life is a little bit easier.
Yes.
I would say it's a little bit easier, and you do have a lot more control.
And you're not creating as many of the problems as you were while using. So that, in that sense, is definitely easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just have a little bit more control over your life. And, you know, I think that, at least for me, it's just been when you are forced to see yourself for who you are every day, you're less likely to lie to yourself and other people, you know? And my wife has told me on numerous occasions that I'm too brutally honest with people, like coming from my heart, and from like a good place. Yeah. And I overshare sometimes. And so that's been something I've had to like kind of discipline myself because I might overshare stuff that's like compromises myself, which I have to like check myself on that because like I have to be brutally honest with myself on a regular basis because if I'm not, it'll eat my lunch. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I need to be able to like look at myself in the mirror and be like, is this right what you're doing? Is this wrong what you're doing? What can you do better? How can you improve upon this? Did you react a way that you think you should have reacted? Did you say the things that you believe should have been said at that moment? Like, there's a lot of things that cross your mind and you think about, and you have to get better at it. You know, you get better at lifing, right? You get better at communicating with people. You know, maybe I could have been more empathetic when this person was telling me about this thing that was very important to them. Mm-hmm. Maybe I could have shown a greater level of care for that person when they were going through this thing. You know what I think about in those situations? Because it happens constantly, and I try to pause before reacting, and I try to think of, imagine if a loved one or someone you respect is watching this moment right now on a movie, and in their eyes, you're their hero, and how would you want to act in their eyes to live up to that term hero? Like sometimes I'll pause and think, because my dad passed during COVID, through COVID complications. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. I'll stop and think, like, if my dad was watching me right now, would he be proud of the way I'm acting? And it really checks me. And then it kind of changes how I act. But the discipline there is you have to pause in the moment where as humans, emotions are just reacting. It's so hard to pause, filter, and then react. That's a discipline that takes a while.
I've messed that up many times.
Likewise, I'll mess it up tomorrow. I still will.
I'm still trying to fix that.
Yeah.
Because I can't react too fast. It's okay to take a second and think about what this
Correct.
person just told you
Yeah.
or what this person just said. I'm on the go so much. I'm rushing so much. I'm so busy all the time.
Just boom, boom, boom.
I'm just like bam, 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 like from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. I've got a million things going on all the time. You still need to take a second when you're having a conversation with somebody.
Yes.
And it's okay. It's okay to not respond immediately when somebody says something to you. Right. It's okay to think about something. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of improving to do there.
It's emotional intelligence, and we're all at different levels, and we're constantly growing. I don't know about you, but I'm a forever student. If I live to be 99, I hope I'm still learning something new at 99. I'll never master it all, but at least I don't think work on it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever master anything. If there's one thing that I am, it's extremely brutally hard on myself, and I do not feel like I'm an expert in any facet of my life at all. Mm-hmm. I think, except for maybe like I'm extremely good at being late. I'm extremely good at that. I have no problem asking for help when I don't know the answer to something. Not a problem at all. The key is asking the right people and discerning the difference between the right people to ask that to. Yes. Because I've asked the wrong people before, and then you get bad information or things like that. But discernment, I think, is a learned skill, is not something you're born with. And that is a difficult one to learn, I think, is from my experience. But we can always get better. We got a long way to go. I mean, life is short, but I agree with you, and I have the same sentiment. I hope that I continue to remain teachable. Yes. Mm-hmm. Because if I can stay open to being taught something new or being teachable, then I'll probably be okay. Mm-hmm. Because once you figure out, at least for me, I've learned once I get to a point where I feel like I got everything locked down or I'm like good.
Something to humble you.
Something to humble you. Yep. I don't want that. I'm good, Right. So, I think remaining teachable is, honestly, I think that's a leadership trait. Absolutely. A valuable leadership trait.
To be a good leader.
To be a good leader, yeah, because there's a lot out there that are good at doing that. Yes. And you could learn something from a subordinate. You could learn something from somebody that you're a subordinate to. Mm-hmm. I don't think that has there's no contingency set on that or anything or parameters. Mm-hmm. So you have a business now. You have a podcast, obviously, this Sober Vet podcast. Yep. And do you have any other type of business associated with the podcast?
Not with the podcast. So I still do J-Dog junk removal. So we're still junking to this day in my 2 territories. I kind of started this as a supplemental thing because, again, I was called to do this. Yeah. But in a perfect world, I would love to transition to doing this full time because attic cleanouts in July when you're 44 is not that fun. Junking is a younger man's game, and I'm kind of getting to the apex of that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It keeps me in shape. I do enjoy what I do, but there's a limit to how long I could be doing that. So if I could transition into using this and this instead of this, it'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I could see that for sure. There's, so I spent my first 5 years in the military in the infantry. And I was 27 when I got there. So keep in mind, I was already much older than everybody else. And my body was wearing down very quickly while I was there. And, I've told a lot of people, being in the infantry is a young man's game. It is very, very difficult on your body. Mm-hmm. And I did not want to do that for the rest of my life. Right. I loved it. I enjoyed every moment that I had doing it. Uh-huh. I made a lot of good friends. I still got a lot of friends to this day that I served with that were in the infantry with us. And we did a lot of hard things together. I did 3 deployments with them, all to PACOM. It's all Indo-PACOM stuff. But not something I wanted to do for 20 years and not something I wanted to do for a full-time profession for the rest of my career, because it's just, it grinds you down. Dude, I shrank. I think I've shrank a full inch. Really? Wow. Yeah. Since 2014. from my spine being compressed. So that's just like one example. And then of course my knees and all that stuff are not what they used to be. But so yeah, I can relate to that. But anyway, that's kind of a tangent. But so how many episodes do you guys have now?
So we just last Monday released season 2, episode 3. We're recorded out to season 2, episode 8, and we're booked out till season 2, episode 18, which tells me there's a need for what we're doing.
No kidding.
Because when I started this, I only had 3 episodes in mind. First one was me. Second one was my current truck commander. Third one was a female that I deployed with. And then after that, I was like, all right, you're up. And they've been coming in. Now, we release twice a month, the first and third Monday of each month. We're on all major platforms. Okay. So by doing 2 a month, it kind of helped us to like not worry too much about it. But yeah, they're trickling in to the point where now I'm not even asking people, like people reach out to us, which is cool. And I'm like, as long as you don't mind waiting till like March, April to record, they're like, yeah, I'll wait. And it gives them purpose to remain sober for that time as well.
Yeah. Do you guys do virtual or you do in person?
We do all, well, for the most part, it's virtual. I've done 3 in person just because geographically they were all close to me.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like over the internet, Zoom style.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are doing that just because it's a lot easier and cheaper.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have no budget. I'm funding this personally. So
yeah.
I can't afford to have anybody come in.
Well, that's why I appreciate you making the trip out here.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like,
it's an honor to be here.
Well,
seriously.
It's not free. So I appreciate the sacrifice that you're making coming here to do this. It's, you know, I tend to foot those bills myself most of the time, which I just eat that. And it's like,
but it's an opportunity for growth, you know.
It is an opportunity for growth, and honestly, I have done some really, really cool interviews with some unbelievable people, and other folks have reached out to, but some of these folks don't like to travel because they might have a significant other that's ill, or there might be something going on with their personal life where they can't travel, and so it's a very unique situation where it's like I can get out there. And I've changed things up. I at one point thought, you know, I wouldn't mind doing virtual, but I've come to find I would rather only do in person personally, just because for me, what I can manage. Now, obviously, if I get to a point where I can't manage it any longer, then I'll make the switch to doing just virtual and we'll figure it out. But I really like sitting down with people in person. It's just a different vibe for me.
It definitely is. Yeah, I do agree with that different vibe. It's a more personal and easier. Yeah. Because there's a pause when you're video and you're just looking at someone's face. Like it's definitely a better vibe in person. I agree.
And you have more control over the quality of the video and also the audio. So there's just a little bit more control over it.
Right.
You can regulate things a little bit more. Whereas if you're doing virtual, it's like I can't tell them exactly what type of microphone to have or how to send the files over or any of that stuff, you know, or what kind of camera they should have for video, you know. So I have a little bit more creative control over it, and it's just a different level of quality and stuff. But again, it's better to have to be doing stuff and recording episodes than not recording anything, because you're still obviously, if you're booked out for numerous episodes, there's probably, like you said, a desire for it. So people need it. People want it.
Correct.
And I'm sure that it's having a benefit with a lot of people.
I hope so. I mean, my goal is if we could affect one person per episode to convince them to become sober, mission accomplished.
Yeah. Or at least, you know, open them up to the idea.
Right. Plant a seed.
Yeah, plant a seed, because, you know, some people never even considered that as an alternative.
Right.
You know, they just never thought that was an alternative, because there's no way I could do that. No way.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that for a while. You know, there's no way. I've had far more fun and done far more cool stuff. Long after. Yeah. Long after. When I get my mindset right, I'm much happier. You know, it's easy for me to get wrapped around the axle on things because of how busy I am and the amount of workload that I've got and my self-imposed goals. You know, I get wrapped around the axle on my own self-imposed goals, and I have to remember to like, hey, take a step back sometimes, take a break. Things are going to work out the way that God intended for it to work out.
Yeah, it's just being human. I mean, we're all like that to some extent.
Yeah, I think so. But either way, like I said, I would say far more good than bad from my personal experience, and it sounds like the same can be said from you.
Light years.
So now today would make what you said it was 6 years now?
What, that I'm sober?
Yeah.
I'm like 3 years, a little over 3.5 years sober.
3.5 years?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
3 years is almost an entire, high school experience. It's a long time.
I had people come up to me and they're like, I'm only 3 days. And I'm like, dude, I had to get through 3 days to make it 3 years. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. One day at a time, man. That's it. That's all it is. It's just one day on top of one day on top of what you don't have to live those whole 3 years right now. Just live one day.
Today.
Live today.
To your pillow.
Yeah.
Make it to your pillow. As long as you make it to your pillow sober, you're good.
Yeah.
Repeat.
Yeah. Just rinse and repeat, and find things that keep you busy and occupied that you enjoy doing and that are productive.
Dude, that's another thing. We all have our own talent, whatever it may be, whether it's drawing, singing, anything. We all have a talent. And when you're actively you're not using that talent. When you become sober and you find that talent, you almost get as excited for that talent as you would for that first beer or that first hit, well, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's where the universe wants you to be, doing your talent, bringing your flavor to this civilization.
Yeah, because you're kind of suppressing yourself.
And it's doing a disservice to you and your loved ones because you're not being the you that you potentially can be.
Yeah, not living to your fullest potential. Right. Yeah. I think that's a good point. That's something I hadn't even thought of. There's a lot of things that obviously I wouldn't be able to do any of this. I wouldn't be here doing any of this had I never made that transition. Right. I would have never gotten to this point. And there's obviously a lot of other stuff involved in between then and now, but I wouldn't have had the wherewithal or the cognitive ability to figure it out.
Or be as consistent as you, because your work ethic is golden. You couldn't be there as an addict.
It's super unhealthy, but I pour all the energy I used to spend on doing unhealthy things on doing productive things now.
Good.
And so I like to think it's good. I still have to work on spending more time with my wife, getting enough sleep. My sleep one is the worst one I'm bad at. Because I'll sacrifice sleep to be more productive and get more work done, which is not good. It's not good. But again, first world problems, this is just, you learn, you get better at this stuff as you go. And I'm again, at the end of the day, my life now compared to, if I look at a snapshot of right now compared to 2007, it's unrecognizable. So I'm grateful. I think gratitude's another important thing. When you get wrapped around the axle, you forget to be grateful for things too. And there's a lot to be grateful for, even if it's just having a roof over your head, being cognitively aware of those types of things. But either way, look, man, I appreciate you sharing your story and being raw and sharing your perspectives. I think that there's going to be somebody out there who's probably going to have something to benefit from this. I guarantee somebody can relate to some of the things that you were saying in some facet. There may be somebody that's living the same life as you were living that might hear this. Who knows? And I appreciate you making the trip all the way down here to come do this. I'm glad that Riley introduced us, and
she was awesome. Shout out to Riley. Thank you for that.
Shout out.
She's awesome.
Shout out to Riley Tjek. Yeah. Appreciate you. We did a podcast fall or spring of 2024.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was before she did her deployment, so it was good. It was a good while ago. But,
she just got married. Did you see that?
Yeah. I've met her husband.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
okay,
a few
guy.
times. Yeah,
Nice.
Awesome dude. He's a British Royal Marine that just retired.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, yes. Super yoked tough dude, which makes sense for her because she wouldn't be with anybody that's like not yoked tough dude. So she's a tough cookie, very athletic. So I would imagine she would need to be with a guy that's also has similar interests like that. So, but yeah, shout out to Riley. Appreciate you linking this up. And again, I appreciate you making the trip down here, man. And
oh wait, before I go, I got something for you.
oh yeah, that's right.
I'm bearing gifts.
Nice.
So these are all.
Sweet.
You got some stickers. There's a T-shirt and a hoodie.
That's cool, man.
So wear that proudly.
This Sober Vet podcast. Look at that.
That's our logo.
That's cool, man. Who drew this for you?
So shout out to Ox and Iron. It's a lady, Latricia, who I met through my BNI group. She's in Lancaster. She does amazing work. If you need any branding done, it's Ox and Iron out of Lancaster, PA. She's awesome.
How do you, Ox and Iron?
Ox and Iron.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's cool, man. This is, yeah.
And the logo's on the back.
This Sober Vet. That's cool, man. I appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Joe, I appreciate you coming all this way. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And yeah, safe travels back where you're going back to. Yeah. I know it's a little bit colder there, so.
Yeah, it is. Cool.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Yep.